Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Former Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter, one of the top prospects in next month's NFL draft, has been charged in the January 15th crash that killed offensive lineman Devin Willock and recruiting staff member Chandler LaCroix. Carter faces misdemeanor counts of reckless driving and racing. The crash occurred hours after the Bulldogs championship parade. Carter said he intends to return to Athens to answer the charges and expects to be fully exonerated. NBA, megastar Kevin Durant ready to make his Suns debut tonight against the Hornets. With Durant, Phoenix now has the most dynamic offensive duo in the league, in the opinion of First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
Primarily because of Kevin Durant. I know that Devin Booker is a stud and a star, and his assertiveness and aggressiveness can't be understated because he goes for it. In the case of Kevin Durant, not so much, because Kevin Durant sort of steps back, lets the game comes to him, doesn't force anything because he's so sufficient. He's so efficient as an offensive superstar.
Durant, coming back from an MCL sprain, will be on a minutes restriction. Lakers ruled out Anthony Davis against the Thunder tonight due to a right foot stress injury.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Pluckers. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Oh, by the way, it's a hump day.
It's hump day.
Let's hump, everybody.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Longhorn eyes are crying.
Hump day.
Tigers beat the Horns in Austin.
It's hump day.
Derek Carr going to the Carolina Panthers.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Allegedly.
Hump day.
Some seem to think so.
It's hump day.
He's visiting with them at the Combine.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
A Bourbon Dictionary later this hour.
Hump day.
Zach Von Rosenberg, 1 hour from right now.
It's hump day.
We'll do overrated, underrated.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
We'll do Pluckers trivia.
Hump day.
Regrettably, we'll talk about two bad basketball teams.
It's hump day.
All right, we got a lot to do. Let's go. All right. Glad you're aboard with us here. LSU went on the road, took on Texas in Austin. They were locked in a 0-0 tie through 8 innings, and then Gavin Dugas did this.
Neal off of second, Thompson off of first. The 2-1. Deep shot to left center field. Brown going back at the wall. It's gone! 3-run blast for Gavin Dugas, and the Tigers take a 3-0 lead here in the top of the 9th inning.
How about it? It was a no-doubter, one that just kept on carrying, and Gavin Dugas gets to play the role of hero there at the Dish in Austin, Texas. LSU wins it 3-0. A classic pitcher's duel. A lot that I want to talk about. First, here was Gavin Dugas on the game-winning homer.
Awesome. There's a lot of moments in the game where our players can contribute, and you hope to do that. And it's just awesome in that moment because I was able to pick Ben up, and I was the first guy that came up and talked to me after I hit that ball, and that made me most happy. Like that was awesome, just being able to pick our guys up. That's what we're going to do all year, and that's our goal, just to pick each other up and play for one another.
Ben, of course, Ben DePolt, who couldn't get a bunt down, trying to advance the runners there before Gavin Dugas had his heroics. So, there's a lot I want to talk about, but I want to begin with my first thought, sort of reiterating something we mentioned yesterday, which was, and quite honestly, over the weekend with LSU going to Round Rock, I would always prefer LSU go on the road and play that game than play at the box against an overmatched team and run rule them through 7. Go play in front of almost 9,000 people that are cheering against you. Go play on some stupid AstroTurf field or turf field, whatever surface the turf is. Go experience something different. People cheering against you, wind blowing a different direction, sitting in the third base dugout instead of the first base dugout. Go be uncomfortable. Go be uncomfortable and see what happens. Test your team. That felt like a Friday night in the SEC. Yo, the pitching was awesome. I mean, we're going to talk about what transpired there, and the pitchers duel in both teams were pretty awesome. The guy we were talking about yesterday, LeBaron, I read his name yesterday. We were reading, so I didn't even know who that guy was. Come to find out, he redshirted, had an injury, threw 6 innings all year. And then last night he goes and does that. Kid was batting 99. Anyway, we'll talk about it. But go on the road, experience that, and to find a way to scratch out a win, awesome. I love that. Everybody's complaining about the strikeouts. I don't blame you. 16 strikeouts is a lot of strikeouts. That's a lot. And maybe the most disappointing part is the times when you had opportunities maybe to break through offensively, that's when you couldn't put the ball in play. In the 4th inning, Tommy White led off with a double, and then they struck out the side. In the 6th inning, you had runners at first and second, pitcher balks. Now you've got second and third. You've got Brady Neal at the plate, really good young freshman, and he couldn't put the ball in play. Like, those are the types of moments where you got to be able to come through. In the 7th inning, they intentionally walk Dylan Cruz. You've got first and second with 2 outs. They intentionally walk Cruz to get to Joe Bear, right? They essentially said, we're not going to let Dylan Cruz beat us here. We're going to pitch to Joe Bear. And Joe Bear strikes out. Those are the moments where you need somebody to deliver. And you didn't get them last night until Dugas in the ninth. Now, the great news is you got the pitching and the defense to support your team, to carry your team until the offense eventually broke through. Look, as far as the strikeouts, I get it. 11 dudes struck out on Sunday, 16 strikeouts last night. I understand everybody losing their minds over the strikeouts. Part of me looks at it a couple of ways. Number one, that's kind of baseball. And I don't mean like stomach 16 strikeouts, because last night, LeBaron Johnson just had a lot to do with that. Dude struck out 9. He was filthy. I mean, he was throwing breaking pitches that were moving 18 inches. You would have to be, elite level hitters are going to struggle with 99-mile-an-hour fastball, 91-mile-an-hour cutter that's moving across the plate. That's a big. Those are big league pitches that guy was throwing last night. I had no clue he was capable of that at all. But against that offense in that setting, congrats, tip your hat to that dude. He made himself some money last night. He got a lot of attention. But it continued even after he left the game. The good news is LSU made him throw 92 pitches through 5 innings. So you were able to chase him, and you got into the Texas bullpen, and ultimately you broke through. I'm curious to see if after this weekend and after last night, Jay Johnson doesn't shuffle the lineup. Look, everybody struck. Literally, your entire starting 9 struck out last night. A lot of people said, what do you do with Joe Bear? Well, Joe Bear hit 2 bombs on Sunday. If he does move Joe Bear, I don't think it's out of the lineup. I think it's just down the lineup because you got to have somebody in there that's going to be able to protect Dylan Cruz. Maybe that's Trey Morgan, contact hitter, a guy who can put the ball in play. But even Trey Morgan struck out last night. So maybe you just flip Morgan and Joe Bear in the lineup. These are the types of decisions Jay Johnson will make as he goes through it. But you ultimately found a way to break through. Thatcher Hurd was really good, 4 2/3, got into trouble a couple of times, but was able to wiggle off the hook in large part due to making good pitches and having great defense behind him. Jordan Thompson turned 2 double plays in the first, the line drive where he threw it back to second base. Got out of another jam with a double play. How about the play Gavin Dugas made at second base where the ball went off of Hurd's glove, ricochet, Dugas lays out for it at second base, then hops up and makes the throw. Just Trey Morgan made a dynamic catch in deep left field, going to a knee on the warning track. And then even after Hurd was out of the ball game, Ben Napolt at third base made a SportsCenter top 10 play on a pop bunt foul where he dove near the third base dugout. Just over and over again, we saw the defense elevate. And it was such an Achilles heel a year ago, but they were awesome last night. And the reason why you should be encouraged is because, yeah, there's going to be days where LSU bangs out 23 hits and scores 16 runs like they did Sunday against Sam Houston State. And then there's going to be days where you face a top-tier arm and your bats are quiet and you need to have an elite pitching staff and a defense back up that pitching staff, and you got that last night, and you managed to win the game. So, yeah, you can spin it however you want. You can be disappointed with the strikeouts, but you can also look and say, you were facing a dude who is filthy. Not every college pitcher you face has that dude stuff where they're going to be throwing 99 with wipeout stuff at 91. So when you need to have a great pitching performance and great defense behind him to win however you need to, you're going to get that as well. You're not pigeonholed into winning one way, which is a really, really encouraging thing. I thought the pitching and the defense were great. I can't believe I've talked for 10 minutes and I haven't mentioned Nate Ackenhausen yet. I mean, that might be even the story. He came out of the bullpen 3 1/3. Of his 39 pitches, 32 were strikes. He struck out 4. He was filthy, dominant, awesome. However you want to say it, he was great last night. He ultimately gets the win in 3 1/3, and I loved Christian Little in the 9th inning. When you bring a dude that looks like a defensive end out of the bullpen throwing 97 in the 9th inning, yes, please. That's the role Grant Taylor was going to fill, y'all. I mean, we've talked about it for months. That's the role Grant Taylor was going to fill. And I love the look of Christian Little coming out of the bullpen like he did last night in the 9th. 3 up, 3 down with ease, weak contact. Yes, loved it. So, man, we can sit here today and we can focus on the strikeouts, and those were a problem, and that's got to be addressed. And, you know, a big part of that is who you faced. And that has to be acknowledged. The other part of it is look at all the good. You went on the road, tough environment, got a good start from Thatcher Hurd. Ackenhausen and Little behind him were awesome. You pitched a shutout. It was just incredible to watch your pitching staff and the defense behind him. You know, no runs on 4 hits, just a solid all-around performance from the defense, the pitching staff, and you got the clutch hit at the end of the game when you had to have it from a veteran player. So a lot to like about last night. LSU beats Texas. They'll take a couple of days off here, and they have a 4-game series Friday to Monday coming up this weekend at the Box. All right, it's after further review. Feel free, get any interaction, reaction you want from the baseball game last night. We'd love to talk about it. You can email us, tweet us, jump in the Bayou Forward YouTube chat, or text in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Okay, let me knock out our first break of the show. When we come back, Derek Carr is at the Combine in Indy, meeting with 3 teams, one of them the Saints. There's a projection up right now of every starting team's quarterback for 2023 in the NFL, and the projection for the Saints is not Derek Carr. Who it is may surprise you. We'll get to that next on AFR.
AFR.
Tell you every day to do business with someone you know. That's us, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. With, we got centers all over the state of Louisiana. So if you're in the The 225, the 504, the 318, the 337. Go to hudcoroofing.com. Check out the homepage. At the top of the website, you'll see the phone numbers for all of the offices. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, Bossier as well. So check us out at hudcoroofing.com. Y'all, I know we said this a year and a half ago when Ida was here, but we always say do business with us because we were here before the storm. We'll be here after the storm. I don't know if you've noticed, but one national roof company that came to town after Ida, they've left town now. They've closed their office. There's a couple of other companies that are in trouble right now because of ethical issues. Do business with a company that's been around for more than 20 years. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and hudcoroofing.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I am told while we are at Indy here and every team is in Indy, Derek Carr also headed to Indy. Sources say he is expected to meet with a handful of teams here in Indianapolis as he re-kickstarts his free agent process. I would expect him to sign somewhere. I know there are several interested teams before free agency begins, kind of giving him a leg up on everyone else. He's already met with the Saints, already met with the Jets. I know there's some real interest there, so that is expected to continue here in Indy.
It was Ian Rappaport of NFL Media talking about Derek Carr, And that was as the Combine, teams were assembling and gathering at the Combine in Indianapolis, which, of course, is going on this week. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, today, Rappaport followed up that report with this one. Derek Carr did meet with the Saints and the Panthers yesterday, meaning Tuesday, with Carolina owner David Tepper joining the meeting in Indy. So the owner of the Panthers joined that meeting. Today, Wednesday, Jets brass will meet with Carr, including owner Woody Johnson. Carr also met previously with Saints owner Gail Benson. So we kind of know a little bit of the history here, right? And I don't want to become redundant with the Derek Carr conversation. So I understand that fatigue with this conversation could set in. That's not my intention. My intention is to talk about it as the story advances, which is something we say here all the time. As the story advances, we'll talk about it. And I do feel like Derek Carr going to Indy, meeting with the owners of both the Carolina Panthers and the New York Jets is a pretty significant advancement. I mean, he took the visit to New Orleans. We know all that. We know there's interest. The Saints had the framework of a deal reportedly in place to trade for Derek Carr. Thank God he waived it, or he wouldn't waive his no trade clause. But my inclination, the more I keep looking at the Derek Carr situation, is that Derek Carr does not want the Saints. The Saints want Derek Carr, but Derek Carr does not want the Saints. It's the bird in hand, but he's looking around for a better bird. Rappaport also had this part of the report about what Carr is looking for here with his next destination.
There's also been some discussion about his price tag. Here's what I'm told. This is about fit. I know price will come up. Derek Carr has not had any substantial discussions about price or value with any of these teams. It has been all about fit. That is the most important thing, and we will see, perhaps shortly, where he lands.
I respect Ian Rappaport, the report. They're saying it's not about price, it's about fit. That's a pretty good indicator that he's not getting his price. As a matter of fact, hat tip to Nick Underhill, who I think shared this on Twitter over the weekend. It was Diana Rossini who first reported Derek Carr's number of $35 million. It was what he was seeking. And the fact that number leaked out kind of tells you that he ain't getting that number. So it's easy to say it's more about fit than money when the money ain't there. I mean, the reason the Raiders cut him was they were not going to pay him that money. Ultimately, the reason why I and many others were adamantly opposed to the Saints trading for Carr was because you were not only trading for the player, you were trading for a contract that was going to pay him in the mid-30s this year and then in the 40s the next 2 years. That would have been absurd for a quarterback that's approaching his middle 30s and is clearly declining. So it's easy to say it's not about money, it's about fit when nobody's willing to pay you the money that you want, and that seems to be the case right now for Derek Carr. We mentioned that Carr met Wednesday with the Panthers and the Jets. Jets GM Joe Douglas had this to say about their meeting with Carr.
I can tell you that was a fantastic visit. We really enjoyed spending time with him. Obviously, he's the only quarterback that I can really shed any light on for you guys, since he's the only quarterback that's a free agent. But I can say that he left a strong impression with everybody. And so, obviously, we're going to be exploring the veteran quarterback market this offseason, and we're going to look at every available option. We feel like when it's time to make the right decision, whenever their process, we're going to make the best decision for the Jets.
With all of that said, Field Yates from ESPN, who does a really good job, used sort of his Rolodex, what he knows about certain situations, to make educated guesses on who he feels will be every team's starting quarterback in the NFL in 2023. And he does, by the way, have Derek Carr as the starting quarterback, as a starting quarterback in the NFC South. Just not with the New Orleans Saints. Field Yates has Derek Carr being the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. I get it that this is just one man's opinion, educated opinion, as he's putting all this together. And there was a report today that the Panthers are going to engage in conversations with Sam Darnold about bringing him back, and it's fine. I mean, it's okay. I would assume you would do that. You have to have options. But this does sort of underscore my feeling that Carr is looking for a better option. Carr could have been in New Orleans if he wanted to be. The Saints had the framework of a deal done. The Raiders would have taken anything for Carr as opposed to just letting him walk for nothing. And that didn't happen. So it's very clear that Carr is longing for other situations. Now, why this is interesting with the Field Yates piece is as he goes through the starting quarterbacks, some of them are known, like returning starters. Kyler Murray in Arizona, Desmond Ridder in Atlanta. He says Lamar Jackson going back to Baltimore. Of course, Josh Allen in Buffalo, Justin Fields in Chicago, Burrow in Cincy. A lot of them you know, right? It gets interesting where he starts looking at where you're going to have turnover. And he mentioned some turning to incumbents already on the roster. He's projecting Kyle Trask to be the starter in Tampa. Sam Howell to be the starter in Washington. And then there's the playing the veteran quarterback roulette game where he has Derek Carr going to Carolina. So if Derek Carr goes to Carolina, what does that mean for New Orleans? This is where it's probably surprising and maybe a bit disappointing to a lot of Saints fans. Field Yates projects the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints in 2023, Baker Mayfield. He writes, the Saints were the first known Carr suitor, hosting him on his loan visit before his release from Las Vegas. That visit was strong enough indication of interest, but since a trade didn't materialize, competition for Carr's services comes into play. Though he had plenty of rough stretches over his career, Mayfield showed well in a small sample size with the Rams late last season. He's an imperfect player, but I believe quarterback context matters when put in a system with capable coaching, competent playmakers, and savvy game planning. Mayfield can help you win. Jameis Winston is under contract, but he was replaced by Andy Dalton, who is now a free agent. So all that is true. Field Yates projecting Baker Mayfield will be the starting quarterback for the Saints. Let me tell you why I love it and why I hate it. Why I hate it, ultimately, is it's Baker Mayfield, and I don't think he's a really great player. And I think if you have Baker Mayfield as your quarterback, you have a younger version of Andy Dalton who just has a low ceiling. You're just capped. Why I love it, first and foremost, I think it's affordable. Baker, this past year in 2022, was under contract for $4.8 million. That's about a third of Jameis's deal, right? It's around what they gave Andy Dalton. Would you rather Andy Dalton at 36 years old or Baker Mayfield at 27 at $4 million? That sounds good to me. Because right now, again, what I'm looking at from a Saints perspective is not how do they win a championship in 2023. It's how do they get themselves back into a position where they're competing for championships again. And I don't believe that's by signing Derek Carr to a $30+ million a year contract. I think that would be only exacerbating your cap issues. You bring in Baker Mayfield at $4 million. Okay. The other reason I love the idea of Baker Mayfield is, or fill in the blank common to Baker Mayfield, is you're not going into the season with only Baker Mayfield. That almost guarantees you are drafting a quarterback, which I, and I think many of you hope, would be Hendon Hooker. So if you sign Baker, if you sign Derek Carr, you ain't drafting a quarterback. If you sign Derek Carr to a 4 or 5 year deal, whatever it may be, at $30 million, just ballpark it what everybody's saying around that number, $25, $30, $35 million a year, you're not drafting a quarterback as well. Like, if you sign Baker Mayfield, you're drafting a quarterback. And that's the path I think the Saints need to go, so I would love to see it transpire that way. I'm almost willing to say, okay, I'll concede 2023 because it's not going to be a championship year. It's going to be whatever it is. Draft really well, get some young guys' talent, and look ahead to the future for at quarterback and have somebody that can bridge that gap, and maybe it's Baker. Look, kind of like what Atlanta did this past year. They brought in Marcus Mariota. They drafted Desmond Ridder. Mariota started 13 games. By the end of the year, Ridder was the starter. Now Mariota's gone. It's Ridder's job. Will he thrive? Will he sail or sink? I don't know. But they're taking that chance. So good for them. They're closer to winning than the Saints are because they have a guy that could be the guy. The Saints don't. By the way, if you're wondering, Field Yates projects Jimmy Garoppolo to the Jets. He projects Aaron Rodgers to go back to Green Bay for whatever that's worth. And then some draft, like the Texans taking C.J. Stroud, the Colts getting Bryce Young, Will Levis going to the Raiders. So some of those. There's one other piece here that I was. It's just an interesting maybe parallel to what happened in the Saints' history in the past. I alluded to the fact that I think while the Saints want Derek Carr, I don't think Derek Carr wants the Saints. It's not his primary choice. It's not his primary destination. Probably because he's a guy in his mid-30s who realizes his years left in the league are fleeting, and he wants to go somewhere where he can win, and that's probably not New Orleans. So it's not exactly the same, but it reminded me a lot of 2006 when Sean Payton and Drew Brees both came to New Orleans in the same year. Neither of them wanted New Orleans. Now, New Orleans was a dramatically different situation in 2006. They were coming off the vagabond season after Katrina. We all know the history. Didn't even know if the team was going to come back to New Orleans. Didn't know if the city was going to come back at that point. And Sean Payton, as he's written in his book and talked about openly, wanted the Green Bay job. He didn't get it. Sean Payton wanted the Green Bay job. Ultimately, Mike McCarthy got that job. And Sean Payton took the Saints job. Drew Brees didn't want to come to New Orleans. Drew Brees wanted to go to Miami. And we all know what happened. He didn't get physically cleared by their doctors, by their medical team, so he ended up in New Orleans. So, and we talked about Reggie Bush as well, who did not want to come to New Orleans and, had his representation tell Sean Payton, don't draft Reggie. And Sean, sort of famously told him, F you, and hung up the phone. Like, a lot of that came together in 2006 with guys that didn't want to be here. So maybe there's some synergies there with Carr, history kind of repeating itself, a guy who doesn't want to be here, but maybe he comes here and it works. I'm skeptical of that, but it's just an interesting storyline that may be worth keeping an eye on as it parallels what did happen here in the Saints' greatest era. But in any event, Field Yates projecting Baker Mayfield to be the Saints' starting quarterback, something that I would honestly prefer over Derek Carr. It doesn't make you better in 2023. But financially and competitively, it lays the groundwork to be better beyond 2023, in my opinion. Okay, it's After Further Review. Glad you're here. Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com. Home of the Charlie's Dozen. That's a dozen benefits extended to your vehicle when you buy tires at Shawbills. Things like free tire repairs, free tire rotations, free balancing for the life of the tires. They just treat you great at Shawbills. That's why they've been in business for more than 50 years. ShawbillsTire.com to find the location nearest you, to schedule service, to shop tires. You can hit the promotions tab at the top as well. It'll show you all the dealer specials. And remember, use your Shawbills credit card. You'll always get better incentives when you use your Shawbills credit card. And if you don't have one, your first purchase, they'll always give you $50 off your first purchase. So let's say it's an oil change. You basically get a free oil change when you use your Shawbills credit card for the first time. It's at Shawbills. ShawbillsTire.com. ShawbillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, we'll knock out a break, y'all. When we come back, we'll go around the SEC, and I do have to touch on just a giant story around the NFL, the draft, the combine, what's going on with Jalen Carter. If you haven't heard yet, we'll get you caught up to speed on that. And the Aggies are in trouble. Taylor Calandro, a little Bourbon Dictionary in about 15 minutes. Zach Von Rosenberg. I want to talk special teams with Zach. Remember, he was on the LSU team in 2017 that did not have a special teams coordinator. What was that like? I want to get his impressions of what went wrong with LSU special teams in 2022 and can they improve in 2023. We'll get to that with Zach in about 30 minutes from right now. We're glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
New Orleans Flooring. It's where the pros shop, and you should as well. You can go to NOLAflooring.com, NOLAflooring.com. 2 locations, the Metairie location and Airline Highway in Prairieville. If you're going south on Airline in Prairieville, the Walmart's on the right. Past the Walmart, and it's right there. Big blue sign. You can't miss it. Go on in. Go see Big Sean. Go see Terrell. Great people over at New Orleans Flooring. They'll treat you right. And most importantly, look, you can go to the website. You can see a lot of, it's NOLAflooring.com. You can see a lot of the brands that they offer, a lot of the pricing that they have. You can see some of their reviews. They even have a really cool feature where you can see the floors in your room. If you're not familiar, it's a really, really cool feature where you could take a picture and you could see, because I'm very visual, you could see what that new flooring would look like in your specific room. But we're talking about New Orleans Flooring, y'all. We're talking price, man. They cut out the middleman so they can save you 40, 50, sometimes 60%. You got to shop at New Orleans Flooring. Go to nolaflooring.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Man, what an ominous cloud hanging over the combine with the Jalen Carter news. I think most people are familiar with who Jalen Carter is, dominant defensive lineman from Georgia who is number one on Mel Kiper's big board. I mean, best prospect. He is a consensus top 5 pick. It's just a matter of where he lands based on how the quarterback shuffle works out at the top of this draft. Well, the night that Georgia celebrated its second consecutive national championship in Athens, there was a tragic car wreck that ended up killing 2 people, injuring 2 others. And there's now been a warrant out for Carter's arrest. The allegations are that Carter was racing his vehicle, a 2021 Jeep Trackhawk, against the Ford Expedition that was driven by the recruiting staffer, 24-year-old Chandler LaCroix, and one of his Georgia teammates, who Devin Willock, who also perished in the crash. Some of the details are striking. LaCroix's blood alcohol level was 0.197. The SUV that LaCroix was driving, they were traveling at 104 miles an hour just before the crash when they lost control of the vehicle, hit a light pole, a utility pole, and then a tree. And apparently Carter left, according to this, left the scene and returned a few hours later, talked to police. Now, police have said there was no sign of alcohol with Carter, but still, I don't have much by way of commentary to offer. It's tragic. 2 people died. It's just a devastating situation. With respect to Carter and his draft prospects now, I think that is interesting to watch. Will teams shy away based on what happens here? Don't know. But Jalen Carter did release a statement, and I'll read it. It's brief. He said, this morning I received a telephone call from the Athens, Georgia Police Department informing me that 2 misdemeanor warrants have been issued against me for reckless driving and racing. Numerous media reports also have circulated this morning containing inaccurate information concerning the tragic events of January the 15th. It is my intention to return to Athens to answer the misdemeanor charges against me and to make certain that the complete and accurate truth is presented. There is no question in my mind that when all of the facts are known, that I will be fully exonerated of any criminal wrongdoing. That's the statement from Jalen Carter. So, as I often say, we'll follow that as it develops because, every year around the combine and before the draft, there are always things that come out about players. Sometimes it's maybe past, maybe it's drug usage, maybe it's violent encounters. We all know what can sometimes come out around draft time. We talk about it every year and how it affects guys' draft status. Well, now you're talking about a guy who very well could be the first overall player taken if the Bears keep the first pick. If they keep that pick, it's Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. They're going with one of those dominant defensive linemen. So, a tragic story, obviously. That's paramount to any of the conversation around football. I just don't know that I have much to comment on with respect to the tragedy. It's just the information we have. But we'll have to keep an eye on it to see what happens because that could very well shape or reshape the top of this year's draft. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen at southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online, southpointvw.com. I promise you it wasn't planned this way, but I do always talk about the Volkswagen safety features. And it's one of the reasons why every time I drive my Volkswagen, I have Drew in the car with me. Erica drives a Volkswagen when she leaves the house. I always feel a degree of comfort knowing that we're in some of the safest vehicles on the road. South Point Volkswagen is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. You can shop them online at southpointvw.com. That's southpointvw.com. Or go see my friends today at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? Okay, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Vanderbilt football is down an offensive lineman entering spring. Starting guard Ben Cox is medically retiring from football. Started 12 games at right and left guard during the past 2 seasons, but was injured in October, missed the rest of the season. Vandy now has 15 offensive linemen on the spring roster, 4 incoming freshmen, though, that are not enrolled in spring.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Another medical retirement. This time it's Jesse Sanders, who is a tight end at South Carolina, who's played 3 seasons, but is hanging it up for good after having 3 surgeries, 2 of them on the same ACL. He tore his ACL twice in the last 2 seasons. He was the number 111 tight end in the country in the class of 2020.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Point guard Severe Wheeler will miss senior night and out for the foreseeable future. He underwent a minor procedure on an unrelated ankle injury that's unrelated to the ankle injury, that's kept him out the last 6 games. John Calipari, however, did not rule out Wheeler for the remainder of the season. Wheeler started his collegiate career at Georgia, transferred to Kentucky, where he's been the past couple of seasons. With Wheeler out, Adu Thero likely picks up the slack there for Wheeler. Take a quick look at the scoreboard. Tennessee blows out Arkansas at the Tommy Bowl last night. Texas A&M goes to Oxford and beats Ole Miss 69-61. Florida on the road boosted its RPI its net rating, 5 points after beating Georgia 77-67, and Mississippi State at home takes care of South Carolina 74-68. Look at the schedule tonight. We know LSU hosts Missouri, Auburn is at Alabama, and Kentucky hosts Vanderbilt. There you have it. That is Around the SEC presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products, the official office equipment provider of the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the ULL Ragin' Cajuns. If you need office equipment, you need Gulf Coast Office Products. All right, Bourbon Dictionary with Taylor Calandro coming back to wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential. If you need a realtor, you need Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. That's agent225.com. Notice Darren's most recent social media post, a home that sold quickly and had multiple offers on it at the time of the sale. That's what Darren does. Darren has a roster of buyers lined up in his system ready to buy exactly what you are selling. That's how Darren gets multiple offers. It's how he gets to the closing table fast and gets you the most amount of money. If you need to sell your home, you need Darren James. And not just, yes, of course, everyone wants to sell their home fast and make money on their home and move on with life. But Darren has a way of making the whole process stress-free. You need a realtor, you need Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Texas EquiSearch has joined the effort to find a missing Georgia man who was last seen in downtown Baton Rouge. Nathan Millard was staying at a hotel downtown, and despite his debit card being used and his wallet being found, there's been no sign of the husband or father. Baton Rouge police say they canvassed the area and interviewed a homeless person. We'll have the latest on the investigation. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
They're the gang with the slang. This is Bourbon Dictionary with Matt Moscona and Taylor Calandro.
All right, let's get it. Wrapping up hour number one. Taylor Calandro joins us to answer all your booze questions. How are you, dude?
Good, Matt. Welcome back. How was wine country?
I wish I was still there, and I wish I wasn't here talking to you right now.
I am the same way, and I went a year and a half ago.
Oh, my goodness, dude. It's just it's a different world, man. It's gorgeous, even though it was freezing while we were there. It snowed, they said, for the first time in like 50 years.
I did see it snowed in California last year.
It was
last week.
Yeah, that was bizarre to have the freezing temps like that. But man, it was incredible. And thank you for all the help. Kind of helped us set up a lot of the stuff of the trip. You pointed us in the right direction. So we had a great time, man.
Yeah. The weather over there is unlike any other in the country. I don't know if you ever watched a golf tournament from like that area. It can change like crazy overnight. It's a weird spot. But yeah, it's God's country out there. I love it.
One of the things that was really cool that I didn't know, we went to Prisoner Wine Company, and they did a collab with High West, which is High West is. I mean, I love what High West puts out. I mean, all their ryes and all the products that High West put out. What you told me you've had the High West the whiskey collab before. What can you tell us about that?
I have not had the whiskey collab, but the reason that High West and Prisoner are together, they're both owned by Constellation Brands, big alcohol company. So they did a collaboration together, and I didn't know that Prisoner did a wine with the High West barrels, but I guess that's winery only. The whiskey did get released. They did a High West finished in Prisoner barrels, but it is absolutely super, super, super limited. We got a bottle. It's going to be in our raffle in December.
Oh, okay. Okay, so when you texted me and said you got a bottle, you meant you hadn't tried it. You just got the bottle. Okay, for those watching. Here's the picture of the that's the whiskey bottle right there. For those watching, you could Google it and find it. So they finished the whiskey in the Prisoner Red Blend wine barrels.
Yeah, and I don't know what picture y'all looking at, and I don't know if it does it justice, but the liquid in that bottle, the whiskey is like almost red. It's got a really red hue to it.
That's crazy.
I'm very anxious to try it if I ever get the chance to. I know it's super limited, but hopefully I'll get to try it at some point soon.
Have you had the wine that they?
I have not. When you sent me that picture last week, that's the first time I knew they had that wine. The Prisoner keeps a lot of stuff winery only in-house.
Yeah.
And Louisiana's always last to get anything as it is. You probably saw a good bit of Prisoner stuff in there that you'd never seen before.
Yeah, well, I saw a lot the whole time I was in Napa that I'd never seen, and it's pretty bizarre, the shipping rules for alcohol and everything like that. But
yeah, and they do a lot of smaller batch stuff that there's no point in it leaving the winery, experimental stuff, so they'll just sell it straight out the winery. There's enough people that go through the wineries to buy that stuff.
It was really cool. Hey, one other thing I wanted to talk about, we'll get some questions. You can get your questions in for Taylor. I noticed a Forbes published, and shout out to my guy Cliff Nelson who actually sent this along to me. Forbes published the list of the World Whiskey Awards, which have come out, and Weller CYPB won the 2023 Best Kentucky Bourbon of the Year at the World Whiskey Awards. Thoughts?
I'm not going to dispute that. It is. I had CYPB again like a month or two ago. It's fantastic. I don't know if it's the best, but it is absolutely fantastic. I mean, when you're getting into a level of whiskey like that, it's you're nitpicking to see which one's the best.
So CYPB, by the way, is the white labeled Weller. Do you want to explain CYPB? Yeah, go ahead.
So CYPB stands for Create Your Perfect Bourbon. It was a program that Buffalo Trace at Sazerac did like 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was like a open sourced fielding thing that they had on the website for anybody like us to go on and say, you filled out this thing of what your perfect bourbon would be. Well, they distilled all that down into one thing and made the whiskey, and that's what's in that bottle right there.
Yeah, so
it's very, very, very good.
Yeah, the white label Weller, which is fantastic, very hard to find. Oddly, I was lucky enough a couple of years ago to score a CYPB, and it's very good. It's not my favorite of the Wellers, but But I can understand, like you said, you're kind of picking between the prettiest supermodel, sort of whenever you're.
Yeah, but single barrel, the Weller single barrel orange label gets a lot of love, and that's not my favorite thing on earth. And everybody loves that Weller, and that's just not my favorite Weller on earth.
I do love the Weller single barrel, but Weller 12 is my favorite.
It's a little light for me. It's just not. I don't know.
Let's see.
And that's the hardest one to get.
Let's see if we can get some questions here. I've got us up against the clock here. We got about a minute left. Brandon Frederick said, "Ask Taylor, Old Elk double wheated or 4-grain or Armagnac cognac finish? Which should I buy? Which do you think of the Old Elk? Would you recommend there?"
We get asked this a lot in the comparison. I would say you said double wheat 4-grain or a finished one.
Yeah,
I would say double wheat. I love double wheat.
Okay, for me, I would. Here, last one. Do you have any European vacations planned this year? Ask Taylor. That's from Greg Lehman.
I do not. I wish I did, but I do not.
That's right. You went gallivanting in Europe for like 2 weeks last year.
Hey, we're going to Orlando for the opener, so
not the same.
Kind of
there's
a lot of European people there. I've been there. There's tons of European people in Europe.
You go to what's the beer around the world thing, whatever at Disney.
Epcot.
Yep, yeah.
And you know what? Paris Brewing Company
I got
has beer there.
I got 3 seconds. We appreciate you, man. See
ya.
AFR.
I do that to him every week. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. I had a moment this morning where I was thinking about what my life was like when I still wore contacts. So when you have LASIK, the one thing you have to do is you get artificial tears, just wetting drops, and in the morning and before you go to bed at night, you're supposed to put a drop in your eye. Anyway, and I ran out of my drops. And so my eyes were just a little dry this morning. And I thought about what that was like every day of my life when I had to get these old contacts and shove them into my eye, or if I forgot and slept in them, or just all of the nuisance, the annoyance when your eyes would dry out, it'd be blurry, or if you ripped a contact or scratched it. Don't do it. Be done with that forever. Go to the Williamson Eye Center, get that free consultation, see if LASIK can help change your life. Call 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Former Georgia star defensive tackle Jalen Carter, one of the top prospects in next month's NFL draft, has been charged in the January 15th crash that killed offensive lineman Devin Willock and recruiting staff member Chandler LaCroix. Carter faces misdemeanor counts of reckless driving and racing. The crash occurred hours after the Bulldogs championship parade. Carter said he intends to return to Athens to answer the charges and expects to be fully exonerated. NBA power forward Kevin Durant will make his Phoenix debut tonight against the Hornets. Expect a smooth transition for Durant with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and the rest of the Suns, believes ESPN basketball analyst Monica McNutt.
I do think that the relationship between Book, CP3, and Kevin Durant, as far as their Olympic team experience, will expedite this process. And we know that KD is a seamless basketball player. Give him an offense, give him a chance to grasp the offense and his teammates' tendencies. Insert, you have buckets.
KD, coming back from a knee injury, will be on a minutes restriction tonight. The already shorthanded Lakers ruled out Anthony Davis against the Thunder tonight due to a right foot stress injury.
We all know the game isn't over till it's over. So next time you need parts for your car, don't call it quits. Go to eBay Motors. They have 122 million parts to take your car into overtime. Get the right parts at the right prices. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Pluckers. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musso. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. So, LSU, less than 2 weeks away from the start of spring practice, and we finally learned that John Jancic is being promoted from his off-field role to an on-field role, replacing Brian Polian. He'll be the outside linebackers coach, but he will also double as the special teams coordinator. Sounds like they're going to divvy up roles, however, and manage the special teams that way. And LSU did this a few years back in 2017 when Greg McMahon was hired as an analyst and Ed Orgeron did not replace Bradley Dale Pivito with a full-time special teams coordinator. They kind of divvied it up a little bit, and 2017 didn't go great in the special teams department. They promoted Greg McMahon, and he was awesome the rest of his time in Baton Rouge. So our buddy Zach Von Rosenberg, of course, was on that team, so I wanted to talk about what it was like not having a full-time special teams coordinator and how this might all improve for LSU. So Zach's good enough to join us now. How are you, dude?
I'm doing good. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing awesome. Thanks for the time. Always good to hear from you. Let me just start with going back to 2017. Just functionally, when you don't have a one person designated to be the special teams coordinator, what kind of challenges does that present?
It does hurt how do I say, the organization of individual special teams units' ability to manage, I guess, the specific team. But if every coach that's taking on the role of for example, let me explain how 2017 worked. A coach manned every unit, if you will. So we had Geronimo, which was like our our rush on our field goal unit, and then we had field goal, then we had punt, kickoff, return, all that. But each coach was designated a specific unit. And the challenge of it is when you have a guy overseeing everything, it's a little bit, I guess, easier for one guy to divvy up the responsibilities and say, hey, we're doing this today, X, Y, Z tomorrow. And that's kind of how it worked under Coach McMahon. And under Coach McMahon, we kind of had to consolidate because it became too much for each coach to do. You know, if he's a special teams coach, or excuse me, if he's a linebackers coach trying to manage a, pass rush unit for kick field goals or whatever, it's just too much to take on, in my opinion. But now I think with Brian Polian taking, a step back, I think he's still going to be involved with special teams. I just think it's going to be less of a, he's going to, divvy up the roles for each unit and kind of break it up. I'm not a huge fan of it, but at the same time, Brian Kelly may be able to manage it better than we did, say, in 2017.
So McMahon was on that staff in 2017. He was just an analyst, right? So the analysts can't coach on the field, but the word is like they can coach the coaches.
Right.
Did you feel Greg McMahon's impact more in 18 and 19 when he was the special teams coordinator as opposed to 17? Like what really, because honestly, Zach, that's what, like Bob Diaco, who's coming on, that's sort of what his role is going to be. Kind of what McMahon did in 17 is sort of like a special teams guy, but in an analyst role. So how does that work?
So the hindrance for Coach McMahon in 2017, we still obviously benefited from him being there, of course. But the biggest hindrance is him not being able to speak at our meetings. We'll be in a special teams meeting, and you're basically playing telephone with your special teams coach, right? So Coach McMahon would tell whatever, GA or whoever's going to do the meeting or run the meeting verbally what he wants to convey to the players, and you're basically playing telephone. Coach McMahon instructs you how to do such thing, X, Y, Z, whatever special teams units were running through that day. And he tells you, hey, I want this done, this covered, this covered, this covered, and this is how we need to do it. And it's just a more difficult way of doing things because you're playing telephone a little bit through your coaching staff. And that works whenever everybody's on the same page, but you can see how that at times can become a little bit of a hindrance when, things get lost in translation. Maybe you're not teaching the right technique. Maybe you're not teaching the right leverage. Maybe you're not covering the right gaps. It can become a problem. And I'm not going to say, we can't accomplish that feat this season. I'm just saying it is a more difficult task than just having Greg McMahon stand in front of the room and convey what he needs to the players.
That makes sense. I mean, there's a very practical application of that. That makes sense, Zach. So you obviously watch the team. I mean, we talk all the time, about this all the time, but you watched them in 2022. What, from your vantage point, went so wrong for LSU in that third phase of the game last year?
I think it was just how do I say this, high turnover in our special teams room. And then on top of that, I'm sure they had a lot of ground to cover. You're turning over a guy who had a 5-year term at LSU and kind of was preaching the same system, the same everything for 5 straight years. Well, when you flip around and have a new guy teaching maybe different things with different language, it's just a hassle. And maybe Brian Polian got, obviously we are all disappointed a little bit in how things went, but that turnover a little bit is because he was the new guy in the first year. And it's always going to be a thing where when you're coaching your terminology and your technique, year 2 is where you're going to see, okay, it's dramatically improved. You've got 2 years of players learning the system and learning their, communication and whatever it may be in year 2. And obviously we had some things happen, like, I hate to say this, but the fumble, block field goal return for a touchdown. Some of those things were mental mistakes that I know were covered. It's just we were on the wrong end of a learning lesson, for the rest of the Brian Kelly term, because those things will never happen again. I guarantee you that. It's just, it's kind of a bad year and a snowball effect of a lot of things that, we may have covered under McMahon, and we needed to recover under Brian Polian because of the amount of turnover we have with players. And it's just unfortunate, again, because I know Brian Polian is a great coach and a great recruiter. It was an unfortunate time of turnover with players in the room, and things kind of snowballed, I'm sure, and it caused a lot of errors, mental errors on the field. But I don't think that will happen, obviously, this year.
Well, do you think, though, that so you had turnover, which, I mean, of course, we saw that, going with all the transfer portal guys, just everything. And I think they turned over like 75% of the roster last year. So that makes sense. But could I argue that in now moving on from Brian Polian, you're creating even more turnover. Right now, it's a third new voice in the third consecutive year.
Yes, and that is true. But I would say, and my argument now would be, well, we've made quite a few mistakes on special teams in 2022, and I don't see all those things that we may have lacked emphasis because we were trying to implement a new defense and a new offense last year, and it kind of has special teams on the afterburner. Now it's going to be, okay, special teams is going to be our strength this season. I seriously doubt Brian Kelly would have a special teams deficiency after already having in his first year of special teams deficiency.
Zach von Rosenberg is our guest, of course, former LSU punter, guy won a national championship on that 2019 team. The one thing, Zach, that when I look at LSU special teams for 2023 that I'm really optimistic about is the specialists actually were really good. Like, I don't know that they had an errant snap all year. I think Damian Ramos really steadied and became a pretty good kicker. Jay Bramblett was a very solid punter. He's also the holder. So when you look at that part of it, Zach, I mean, returning all of the specialists, that has to buoy the team in 2023. Like, I'll ask it sort of in a very obvious way, but how big of a deal is that whenever you return all those guys, even though it was from a unit that maybe as a whole didn't perform great?
Right. I would say it's a lot like our 2020, going into our 2020 season after winning the national championship in 2019. You know, everybody returned to 2020 outside of Blake Ferguson. I mean, we had Cade, we had me, and we had a new snapper, but he was already, you know, he had 2 years under his belt before he started snapping. And but this year, obviously, you know, from the kicking standpoint, we're looking strong. Jay Bramlett, I think, is this his sixth year? Pretty sure he's going to be, you know, he was a stud last year, so I'm sure he'll just repeat. That'll be a pretty obvious, you know, repeat performance for him. And then Ramos, he looked great at the end of the season. He made all his kicks, and even the kicks that you know, got blocked, most of them that I remember were not his fault. And if you got guys that you can rely on and are defendable like that, all you really have to lock down now is that blocking unit on field goal, and then obviously the coverage unit on punt. And I don't see a whole lot of worry on the end of Jay Bramlett and Ramos. You just kind of got to worry about filling those gaps and making sure we're closing down and clamping down on kickoff and not giving up big plays. That's the key for special teams. Is, you know, anytime you're giving up possession, those are the obvious situations where inferior teams can kind of get one over on you with a big special teams play and change the momentum of the game. But when you have Ramos and Bramblett coming back, I think they're going to be strong, and I could see them being a top 10, you know, special teams unit this year. Where last year I believe we were obviously the bottom, you know, 20. I'm not sure exactly on rankings, but I could see them completely, you know, springboarding back to the top 20 at the very least in special teams units in the country.
Yeah, the ESPN stats and info there, like their power index rating had LSU as a whole special teams 130 out of 131 as far as efficiency. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, Zach, I don't need to be top 20. Can I get to the top half of the country? I mean, that in and of itself would be a dramatic improvement year to year. Last thing, look, you kind of saw the gamut at LSU, right? I mean, you saw a coaching change, you saw units that weren't so great, and you saw literally the greatest team ever that you were on. So just give me your impression of LSU coming off of 2022 going into 2023.
I mean, the expectations are high. You have a returning quarterback, which is huge. I mean, anytime you return a quarterback, it's kind of a similar situation, if not the exact same situation as a Joe Burrow. Joe had a great 2018 and springboarded and had probably the greatest season ever in 2019. And, you know, Jaden is coming off a great year. He had an excellent year in Baton Rouge. And, I mean, I say the sky is the limit. I don't know what to predict, and I hate making predictions now after thinking, you know, I've been high on LSU the last few years just because I felt like we always have the talent to beat anybody. And we proved that last year beating Alabama at home. But this year is almost no excuse. We've solidified, you know, every phase of the game. We have the linemen, we have the running backs, we have the skill players, and we have a quarterback. And it's I want to say we're going to have a great year. It's just we got to go out and do it. You have to prove it day in, day out. You got to stay healthy. There's a little bit of luck in there with the staying healthy in the trenches because, you know, as we all know, Georgia and Alabama have been dominant in the trenches, and that's how they win games. And we have too in the past. That's just something we got to get back to doing. That's what we did in 2019. We won the I believe we had the offensive line of the year in 2019, and that's how you win ball games. You beat Alabama when you dominate the offensive line, and that's how we have to do it. And I think we have the players and the talent around Jaden Daniels to do that.
Hey, man, before you go, tell people what you're doing now. Football's done, so what's going on?
Yeah, so I provide staffing for, emergency work, industrial staffing, concrete labor. I do a lot of travel now, oil and gas too in West Texas, but basically I'm the middleman that provides labor to a lot of businesses here in Baton Rouge, Lake Charles, and in Texas. And even, for the hurricane last year, I went to Florida. But, yeah, it's not what I expected to be doing, but I do, for that Florida hurricane, I provided a bunch of A linemen and had guys saying, hey, thanks for this job. It's the best paying job I've ever had in my life because it was hurricane pay. And I was like, man, this is kind of awesome. When you got people saying stuff like that, you feel pretty good about it,
It's awesome. Zach Von Rosenberg, you'll follow him on Twitter at ZVR09, at ZVR09. Thanks, man. We appreciate the time as always. We'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
All right, man. Be well. It's After Further Review. Always good when we get a couple minutes with Zach. Good perspective, kind of talking about how it was in 2017, where I think the best way he said it was like a game of telephone, where Greg McMahon would pass along to a GA or whoever was running a meeting what he wanted him to say, but it's coming secondhand. And now you will have nominally a special teams coordinator. I mean, John Jancic has the title special teams coordinator, but he's never been a special teams coach in his entire coaching career. So Bob Diaco, who has been a special teams coordinator, coming in as an analyst, how does that work? So they'll try to piece it together. But again, the good thing amid all this is all of your specialists return. So year to year, you would hope that you'll see a pretty dramatic improvement. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Hump Day Show is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson and Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. Trivia every Wednesday night and get on by. Well, not got a break. Come back. This will be music to many Saints fans' ears. There is an analyst out there who believes that Hendon Hooker is the perfect fit for the New Orleans Saints. We'll let you hear who and why he says that next on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. Of course, we flipped the calendar now to March, and this is really cool. I know we talked about it a lot over the month of February, that Gordon had partnered with Angel Reese and Alexis Morris and pledged to donate $20 for every point the pair scored throughout the month of February and donate that money to the Turner Syndrome Foundation. Well, in the end, Alexis and Angel have raised $4,060 for Turner Syndrome. I'm sorry, that was still with 2 games ago. It went over $5,000 total, and Gordon has decided that he's going to bump it up to $10,000 total that he's going to pledge to the Turner Syndrome Foundation. So another way that Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys continues to contribute and do great things for our community. Sell you every day. If you've been injured, you need representation, don't go it alone. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Go to getgordon.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
All right, let's say ah.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I'll get to this Hendon Hooker story in a second. There's an analyst that really likes Hendon Hooker to the Saints. Real quick, we opened the show today, if you're just joining us, get a lot of people knocking off of work. We opened the show today with our thoughts on LSU beating Texas 3-0 last night. And one of the things that for me, in hindsight, that will be the biggest takeaway, and look, we can talk about the disappointment of the strikeouts. We can talk about the clutch hit from Gavin Dugas. We can talk about the dominant pitching performance, a great defense. Really, it's the opportunity to go on the road and in front of 8,000 fans that are cheering against you and have that opportunity, that experience. Jay Johnson said as much after the game.
It's a great experience for our team. You know, I mean, going to SEC play and you think about the places that we'll play. Really, all 5 places have good environment. So it was good for that. It won't be new to us when we have an opportunity next time to play in an environment like this. The players were energized throughout the game. The bench was outstanding. And what's cool about that is there's a whole group of guys that could be out on the field and help us win a game like this that are bought into the team.
It's one of the things when the season started that I know when we were sitting here talking about it, we're going week to week and looking at each different position group. So one of the toughest things, one of the biggest questions that Jay was going to have to manage were veteran players taking a lesser role. And you're seeing a lot of that. Guys who have been used to being big-time contributors that are taking a lesser role, but they're engaged. And winning helps that, man. It does. And I think everybody realizes that this team has a chance to do something and to be really special. And the buy-in is very cool. So great win for LSU last night to go on the road and get it done in sort of in an atypical way, to be handcuffed offensively and to win with pitching and defense, which they were able to do so. Tigers get a win last night. Very cool to see. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Love telling you about Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all. Y'all, storm season's around the corner. I mean, I hate to say it, and you know, knock on wood, here's hoping we stay completely free and clear of storms, but you want to make sure that your home is ready before the storms come. That's why it's a good time to call Relief Windows right now. Remember, they got those Cat 5 impact-resistant windows. They're Cat 5 approved for Miami-Dade County. You can get those installed from Relief Windows. It'll lower your energy bill, make your home safer. Intruders aren't smashing, grabbing in your house when you got those Cat 5 impact-resistant windows from Relief Windows. And, of course, it'll beautify the exterior of your home, keep you safe during storm season. It's Relief Windows. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. You can always go to their gorgeous showroom on Airline Highway in Prairieville. Going south on Airline, you pass Highway 42, but a quarter mile on the right, you can't miss it. They got associates there every single weekday from 9 to 5. Go check them out at Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. All right, it's after further review. whenever we've looked at mock drafts so far this season, we've sort of seen the gamut, haven't we? And that's kind of an indicator that your team needs a lot of help. Like Mel Kiper, we went over his mock draft on Tuesday. He's got the Saints going with Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia. Chris Trapasso from CBS has the Saints taking Zay Flowers, the wide receiver. Nate Davis from USA Today has the Saints taking Lucas Van Ness, the defensive end from Iowa. Draft Wire has the Saints going with Osiris Torrance, the offensive lineman from Florida. You kind of get the point, right? You're seeing offensive linemen, you're seeing defensive ends, defensive tackles, wide receivers, tight ends. There's this whole wide gamut. This was Charles McDonald from Yahoo Sports, who has the Saints taking Keely Ringo, the cornerback from Georgia. So, again, huge chasm of who these different analysts have the Saints taking. And I think what was interesting is that most Saints fans seem united on the front that they would love to see Hendon Hooker be a member of the New Orleans Saints. There just hasn't been a ton of talk about that, which is why this jumped out to me when Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network was on the Pat McAfee show and talked about Hendon Hooker to your New Orleans Saints.
I put him in my top 50, but I think he's probably in that second-round range. But, like, I'm looking at a team, the Saints, right? You're picking in there. Yeah. He's better than anybody that you got there. I'd take him over Andy Dalton at this point in time. We already know what Jameis is, good or bad or indifferent.
Great leader, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd take a shot on him.
McAfee had a lot of nice things to say about Hendon Hooker because working College Game Day this year, they got to do a couple of Tennessee games, got to meet Hendon Hooker, meet his family, really raved about Hooker the person, which I think is one of the things that's going to help him elevate draft boards. Of course, he's dealing with the knee injury, but Daniel Jeremiah there said he would have Hendon Hooker in his top 50 overall players and thinks the Saints is the perfect landing spot. One more from Daniel Jeremiah about Hendon Hooker's ceiling.
I think, all the age and the injury. Look, you should be thinking about things in terms of 4 and 5 years in the NFL. Everything can change. If you tell me right now I'm going to get 4, 5, 6 years of really above average, borderline, close to elite quarterback play, who cares?
Take
the guy's older. Take it, man. So to me, his tape was really, really good, and he's accurate. He's big. He can move around. We'll see where he ends up going. But to me, I think if he didn't get hurt, I think we'd be talking about him as a first-round pick.
Hendon Hooker just made 25 years old. In January, he turned 25. And that's maybe what has some teams scared away. Joe Burrow, for example, who just finished his third year in the NFL, is 26. He made 26 in December. So they're 1 year apart in age, but Burrow just finished year 3. Hooker is going into his rookie year at 25 years old. That's what he's talking about. So what Daniel Jeremiah is saying there is, man, think about this through a 5-year lens. If you get 4 or 5 years of top-level quarterback play, who cares that he's 30? And I do understand that perspective and that approach. But I can also say if you're an NFL team and you're making that investment into a player and he's 25 years old and he's already longer in his career and he's coming off a knee injury, like Burrow and Lamar Jackson reached 26 years old. They're deep into their NFL careers, and Hooker's just starting. So I do understand that pushback, but I also like especially if you get him in round 2. Now, look, you use a first-round pick, you get the option for a 5th year. It's going to cost you, but you get him in round 2, 4-year deal. You have a mature guy who you have until he would be 29, almost 30, and then you make a decision on what that second contract may look like depending on how he plays. And I like that. And, I'm looking at this, and I know the draft is odd because doesn't it feel like if you're a Saints fan, you've already imagined, you've already just accepted that Hendon Hooker is going to be your quarterback, right? We've all sort of just dreamed that, accepted that Hendon Hooker is going to be a Saint, but you have no control over it. Some other team could draft him before you do. The Saints could not feel great about him and not pick him at all. So because you have no control over it whatsoever, that does make it a bit odd. But I like the idea of an affordable veteran option, be it Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston. I like that. Plus Hendon Hooker more than I like overpaying for Derek Carr. When you look at the Saints' slot values at number 29 and number 40, slot value for the 29th pick in the draft, where the Saints have their first-round pick, it's number 30, obviously, but it'll be the 29th player taken. Slot value is $12.8 million. Yo, that's not $12.8 million for his rookie year. That's $12.8 million for the life of his rookie contract. It's like $3 million a year. If you take him 40th, that's a $9 million, $9.065 million over 4 years. You're talking $2.5 million a year. Like, why not? I mean, even if he's a backup, you just pay Jameis $12 to hold a clipboard. So, look at Jalen Hurts. I mean, this is because, and I keep stressing this because this is how, this is the path to get out of your cap situation. Jalen Hurts just got the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Before his injury, he was largely and roundly considered the MVP frontrunner. He accounted for over 4,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts' entire rookie contract, it's a 4-year deal worth $6.025 million. Jalen Hurts in 2022, a year in which he led the Eagles to the Super Bowl and nearly won the MVP. He was paid $1.6 million. Y'all, for perspective, that's what the Saints paid Traquan Smith. Okay? You want to know how you get out of this cap situation? How you rebuild your roster? You draft well and you pay your quarterback who takes you to the Super Bowl what you're paying Traquan Smith. Okay? That's how you do it. So, I don't know what the Saints are going to do. It's very clear, listening to Kai Harley with Sean Fazand, looking at what the Saints just do year in and year out. Their approach is win now. And they were carelessly willing to make a trade for Derek Carr. So that worries me because I think that's still the path they're taking. But this is your path out. I'm not saying Hendon Hooker is a surefire, all-pro caliber quarterback. But what I know is overpaying for Derek Carr isn't going to win you a Super Bowl. This is a way to potentially rebuild your roster, recalibrate the salary cap, and have an opportunity to win moving forward. So, yeah, man, from Daniel Jeremiah's mouth to Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen's ears, please, give me Hendon Hooker. Please give me Hendon Hooker. All right. It's after further review. Y'all can get your comments in. Email us, tweet us, jump in the Bayou Forward YouTube chat. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid, smash that like button. Of course, we appreciate everybody watching on WBTR as well. That's cable 19 in Baton Rouge. If you don't have Cox, if you have Rev, it's 144, and if you're a cord cutter, it's 36.1. So we appreciate our news partners and our partners over at WBRZ for giving us the TV option, giving you all the TV option to watch us if you're not on YouTube. All right, y'all, let me knock out a break. We'll go do a little overrated, underrated. Muse will have Tigers in the pros. We got Pluckers trivia next hour. We'll dig a little deeper on the LSU baseball win, and we do have to talk a little bit about men's basketball senior night tonight. More so how Matt McMahon moves this program forward and not so much what might happen tonight at the Maravich Center against Missouri. All right, it's after further review. Stick around.
AFR.
Y'all, the weather is warm. Spring has sprung. It is time to just plant something. Get them by Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations. You know where they are. I've been telling you about them for years. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, the Mid-City location on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. If you're leaving Central on Greenwell Springs, headed toward Baton Rouge, right when you pass the Welcome to Central sign, it's on the right. It's Clegg's Nursery. They're stocking up with new shipments of plants arriving almost daily. It is time. Rose bushes. If you're thinking about planting them, this is the time to go to Clegg's, buy your rose bushes, and get them in the ground. Colorful bedding plants. They love this weather. It's time to just plant something. If you want that sort of fresh from the garden flavor, great edibles like fruit trees, citrus trees. They got Johnny Naylor seeds for tomatoes and vegetable plants and herbs. just plant something, Clegg's Nursery can help. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Hey, if you're looking for podcast options, I do a weekly NIL podcast with Jonathan Pixley from over at Matchpoint Connection. Matchpoint, of course, is a third-party NIL app which connects businesses and athletes, and it handles a lot of all the paperwork, the transactional part of the business to make things cleaner and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, we drop an episode every week. We've been really fortunate to have some great conversations. The episode that dropped this week is with Jay Clark, LSU's gymnastics coach, and you might find it fascinating. We did talk about Olivia Dunn and everything that's gone on with trying to manage a situation that's outside of gymnastics, right? But is someone who is massively popular. Olivia Dunn, the only two athletes that have a higher NIL valuation are Bronny James and Arch Manning. I mean, she's 3 behind those two. So when you're talking about a non-revenue sport and everything that goes into gym, it's obviously an outlier to have someone like Olivia Dunn there. So we talked a lot about that with Jay Clark, and also just how things work with a program that's selling out the PMAC and trying to find its footing amid an NIL culture as well, and what he'd like to see. So anyway, check it out if you get a shot. And we are scheduled next week to interview John Ruiz, the billionaire booster from the University of Miami, who is certainly grabbed an awful lot of headlines. But check out Rosters to Riches, and check out Matchpoint as well. Follow Matchpoint on all the social media apps, or apps, so you can download the Matchpoint app as well. Okay, it's after further review. Muse will do Tigers and the Pros here in about 10 minutes from right now. But right now, Muse, let's do some overrated, underrated. Been a minute there. Yeah, been a minute. Yeah, right? It was out last week. Missed it.
Overrated or underrated?
I personally think he's criminally underrated.
Did you do...
we did.
You did.
We did.
Did you come up with the overrated, underrated topics, or did Beck do them?
Beck did it.
Okay. Because someone did message me while I was gone. I'm not sure I replied, because I don't listen.
You were on vacation. Why would you?
Right. And it was like, is Moose... Because you said, like, maybe everything was underrated or something like that.
That's not true at all.
Or maybe everything was overrated.
That's not true either. There were a good bit of underrateds. There were a few properly rateds in there as well. Yeah. I'll be honest. I don't remember if I said anything was overrated or under. I don't remember.
The person was saying maybe like Musso was just trying to compensate for... anyway, whatever. Okay, go ahead. Let's do it.
Yeah, anyway. I don't know what that's about. Overrated or underrated?
It wasn't a knock. It was just a thing.
No. I'm just like, what I would be compensating for with an overrated or underrated segment.
Well, like me being gone, I mean.
Oh.
Not you.
It's not like you say everything's overrated, though.
No,
that's why I don't understand this person's comment.
I don't.
Keep the comments coming.
Oh!
We love the interaction on the show. I'm just going to ignore that happened. Panel falling off the wall.
A panel, Paul, put the camera on it. A panel just fell off the wall. Got to let everybody see what just happened.
Panels, overrated or underrated?
These right here, properly rated.
Okay.
Cool.
Overrated or underrated?
A big hole in the set now. By the way, the program director has addressed this, just so you know. The brackets are being replaced, and the panels are being replaced as well. And this is a great example of why. Anyway, go ahead.
Overrated or underrated? The Simpsons.
I think The Simpsons are underrated. I've never seen an episode of The Simpsons. That's odd to a lot of people. Was not allowed to watch The Simpsons as a kid because Bart called his dad Homer, and that was disrespectful. So that's why we couldn't. Look at Paul. Look at that, stealthy. Hey, Beck, do you know what button to hit to put Paul on camera? He's trained. Here's a good indicator. Here's a good no, you screwed something up. Nope, you screwed it up. You just pushed a button, and nope, you screwed it up.
I don't know what's happening.
You know what, Beck? You failed. Here was your big opportunity. Nope, look at this. Stop pushing buttons. Stop pushing buttons.
You can kind of see Paul. I mean, kind of.
Everyone who's listening on radio, I'll explain.
No
there we go. The boxes are good. There's Paul. Okay. We have, if you're listening and you don't watch the show, we have a beautiful set. There are panels behind this on the set with the sponsor logo on them. So today is Pluckers. Well, these panels are replaceable. There's basically a hole behind them where the other panels live. Well, the brackets have broken. The panels they're old, and so there's a lot of issues. And sometimes they fall. And in the middle of this segment, the Pluckers panel just fell off the wall. So it was loud. There was a big hole, and Paul had to come fix it in the middle of the segment. Okay, we've basically ruined this entire segment. Let's go very quickly now.
Did you even want to finish your thought on The Simpsons? All you said was underrated, and I wasn't allowed to watch it.
I wasn't allowed to watch it, but still, when you are in as long a run as The Simpsons have, which has to be a quarter century now, I don't care what you do if you last that long on television or any broadcast medium. You are magnificent, and even as celebrated as they are, they're not celebrated enough. That's remarkable that something has lasted as long as that has.
Overrated or underrated? Deep dish pizza.
Underrated.
Overrated or underrated? Wiffle ball.
Underrated.
Overrated or underrated? The beach.
Overrated.
Huh. Overrated or underrated? Miami, Florida.
Properly rated.
That's all I got.
That's Overrated, Underrated. This is After Further Review. Our Hump Day shows are brought to you by Pluckers, as the panel that just fell down would let you know. Although it's back up again. Look at you, Paul. You want to get it? Look at what Paulie did. Beautifully replaced the panel. Got it back up there. I don't think people probably can't see or wouldn't notice that the bracket alongside the panel is missing, right? Yeah, it's hard to tell. So that's, Paul, how is that thing staying up?
It's Velcroed.
But even still, the Velcro is waning, I think.
The problem with that panel is the bottom clip is missing. So there's nothing holding the bottom on.
No, that bottom's there.
Or maybe it's the one behind you. One of them, the bottom is missing.
Yeah, that's the back here. The bottom. So that one's just like dangling right there. This one here is behind me.
It's got Velcro on the bottom too.
Yeah, that doesn't really help. Does that one have Velcro on the bottom?
I don't think so.
So just this one because the bottom clip is
right.
This is why we needed a program director to get things like this fixed. So we have holes in the studio. Anyway, all right. I'm very, very anxious to it. Very anxious to get those things rectified. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We are brought to you by Pluckers. We'll knock out a break. Muse will do Tigers in the pros, and I'm excited about hour number 3 kicking off here in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll reset LSU's baseball win, talk a little bit about LSU basketball senior night tonight against Missouri. Not so much previewing this game tonight because who cares, but more so Matt McMahon talking about how he's going to get this program back on track. So we'll get to that in about 15 minutes. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. And y'all, when spring has sprung, you know what that means. It is crawfish time, and nobody does it better than Rouse's. I want to remind you, Rouse's has their own in-house boiling rooms at all of their locations. So when you go to Rouse's and you buy their boiled crawfish, that is crawfish boiled daily at Rouse's in their in-house boiling rooms. Of course, they have live crawfish as well. That's at Rouse's. Any location, you can find the location near you, but you know where they are at Rouse's. It's boiling season. They're boiling crawfish every day in the store. They use their own down the bayou seafood mix with the right amount of lemon and onion and garlic and heat. You can get Rouse's Louisiana crawfish from the pot every day from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, that's hot every day from the pot at Rouse's from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's all during crawfish season at every Rouse's location. Rouse's feels like home.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
A little bit of news from the LSU football side of things. Wilson Alexander tweeting just a bit ago that LSU's added another staffer, an off-field staffer, an analyst. Eddie Hicks is joining LSU as a defensive analyst. So he notes Hicks will work with the defensive backs. He's been a cornerbacks coach at a few spots, most recently at Jacksonville State. So Eddie Hicks jumping aboard the LSU football staff, as well as LSU's gearing up for spring football. I'll reiterate it, my feeling on analyst support staff, as I've said forever and ever and ever. If you can afford it and that person makes you a fraction of a percent better, then I am all for it. It's just really that simple. There are some programs that can't afford to have 1,000 analysts on staff, and some can. And if you're part of the haves, then I'm glad the school that I love and went to is one of the haves, and LSU is that. So Eddie Hicks joins LSU as an analyst working with the secondary. All right, it's after further review. Muso. Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Let's start in the NBA, where Tari Eason followed up his double-double from Sunday with another one on Tuesday night. 17 and 12 last night for Tari in 31 minutes off the bench. That had him as the second leading minutes guy for the Rockets last night. 7 of 10 from the floor. Back-to-back double-doubles, 17 points, 12 boards. Tari Eason.
That a boy.
Naz Reid, another solid night. It wasn't the 30 and 9, but he also wasn't in the starting lineup. But he did end up with 12 and 8. 19 minutes off the bench, shot 4 of 6, added 2 assists and a steal to round out his night. The Timberwolves beat the Clippers 108-101. Ben Simmons missed another game with knee soreness for the Nets last night.
Dude, they're tanking.
Yep. Ben's just injury prone at this point, I feel like.
Yeah, but they're tanking. They traded off their 2 best players, and the other guy they're never letting him play. So
that's true.
Yeah, they're just tanking.
The other guy, Cam Thomas, 23 minutes, really rough shooting night, 0 for 7.
Well, the other guy was Ben Simmons.
Did have 2 points. Oh,
but it's opened the door. Well, he's one of their star players. He's one of their star players. It's opened the door for Cam Thomas, having traded off all their other. They're benching Cam Thomas because he was helping them win games. Like, hey, no, bad.
The plan was for Ben Simmons to be one of their star players. That has not really worked out.
Well,
just 2
nothing
points
according to the plan with Brooklyn had worked out.
That's also very true. That's very true.
Ben Simmons is a good player. He's not a good scorer. He never was and is never intended to be a good scorer. You can be a good player and affect the game in a lot of different ways.
So this is exciting, spring training baseball. Cade Doughty got an invite to spring training with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Hey.
Yeah, man. Fired up about that. Got his first action yesterday in a pinch hit role.
Okay.
Went 0 for 1, but also drew a walk. So, look, he's there. That's impressive. It was a nice little year for Cade last year. Kind of short season there, obviously, but had a walk-off homer for the Blue Jays or the Blue Jays minor league system at one point. So, glad to see him get the invite. That's exciting. Kramer Robertson, you'll remember, had a wild season last year where he was in the majors and then traded to 3 different teams and then ended up back in the Cardinals organization. Now he's with the Cardinals in spring training. Got his first action yesterday afternoon. Entered the game as a pinch runner, then stayed in at third, got 2 ABs, had a single, and scored a run. He's hitting 250 so far in spring training. And Jake Fraley got his first action as well, going 1 for 3 with a single, so a 333 average for Fraley and the Reds. PGA Tour action. We got the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. Fantastic tournament. Sam Burns is in the field. He will go off at 6:49 a.m. Central Time, paired with Americans Chris Kirk and Jordan Spieth. Ben Taylor, fresh off a top 5 finish, also in the field. He goes off a little bit later, 11:06 a.m. Central, paired with Podrick Harrington and Danny Willett. That's Tigers and Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gentlemen, thrill her with a gift in the red box. Lee Michaels, no matter your budget, you always get the Lee Michaels experience. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Yeah, congrats to Kate. It was cool. I mentioned I've been working out at Traction. I go over there and I train with Tevin Moten, who's the best. But all the baseball guys were in there. So that was all throughout the fall and winter. Gavin Dugas was in there. Kay Doty was in there. Daniel Cabrera was in there. I tell you every day, it's where the pros train. It's where champions are made. It's the best facility. It's the best trainers. It's the best technology. It's Traction Sports Performance. If you have a son or daughter, they play sports, you want them to be their best, they have membership models available. 4 sessions, 8 sessions, or unlimited sessions per month. It's affordable. You are literally training with the same trainers that are training professional athletes. It's at Traction in Baton Rouge. TractionSports.com. TractionSports.com. Hour 3 next.
AFR.
We will talk some LSU baseball coming up right after the top of the hour. Reset the game from last night, and, of course, talk a little LSU men's basketball as it's senior night tonight out at the Maravich Center. Always love telling you about the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. You want to look and feel like your younger self, you can. It's the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. If maybe you struggle just with getting out of bed in the morning, having energy. Maybe you struggle sleeping at night. Maybe it's just general mood. There's so many things that the aging process affects. And because of modern medicine, you can reverse those effects of aging. Hormone replacement therapy could be an option for you. Learn more, theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge near Perkins, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. You can always schedule that consultation or look at their menu of services online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. Texas EquiSearch has joined the effort to find a missing Georgia man who was last seen in downtown Baton Rouge. Nathan Millard was staying at a hotel downtown, and despite his debit card being used and his wallet being found, there's been no sign of the husband or father. Baton Rouge police say they canvassed the area and interviewed a homeless person. We'll have the latest on the investigation. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal. supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana Loyal. Always.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Former Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter, one of the top prospects in next month's NFL draft, has been charged in the January 15th crash that killed offensive lineman Devin Willock and recruiting staff member Chandler LaCroix. Carter faces misdemeanor counts of reckless driving and racing. The crash occurred hours after the Bulldogs championship parade. Carter said he intends to return to Athens to answer the charges and expects to be fully exonerated. NBA, Kevin Durant's ready to make his Suns debut tonight against the Hornets. He'll immediately mesh with his new teammates because Durant can play anywhere, anytime, with anybody, explains ESPN NBA analyst Doris Burke.
There are a few guys in the league that love the game more than Kevin Durant. They may love it as much, but in terms of what he does daily because of his passion for the game, so I expect him to elevate a team that had found its footing, but I expect that to be a fluid and seamless transition for Kevin Durant only because he's one of the greatest to ever do it.
Doris Burke on Canty and Carlin. Lakers ruled out Anthony Davis tonight against the Thunder due to a right foot stress injury.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Pluckers. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. And oh, by the way, it's hump day. Yep.
It's hump day.
Let's hump, everybody.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's the day after LSU's 3-0 win against Texas.
Hump day.
That's what day it is.
It's hump day.
It's the day where LSU basketball mercifully will play its final home game of the 2022-2023 season.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's a day where Derek Carr took his talents to the combine.
Hump day.
Presumably to beg for a job.
It's hump day.
It's a day where Pluckers trivia happens.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Hughes, I think you're going to nail it today.
Hump day.
Gonna nail it.
Which means I won't.
I am
It's
excited about these questions, Muse.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Oh, yes.
Hump day.
Star Wars trivia, by the way. Star Wars
It's
trivia.
hump day.
Tonight
Can I phone a friend?
Tonight at Pluckers. Yes.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
All right, we're calling T-Bob.
Call him.
Hump day.
Get him on the phone. T-Bob and I will be at Oliver Twist tonight for Scone and Tea.
It's hump day.
But if you can't be with us,
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
be at Pluckers.
Hump day.
Star Wars trivia.
It's hump day.
Nerd out
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
in the most respectful way possible.
Hump
Okay,
day.
all right, let's go. We'll get to some LSU baseball here in a second. Basketball, it is senior night for the men tonight. They'll honor to Parker Edwards, if you remember his story, transferred to LSU. He's from the North Shore, went to Southeastern, then transferred to LSU, and he's played in 40 career games. But he had this one kind of incredible moment in the 2018-2019 season. He went in the game against Southeastern with 11 minutes to play, and he hit 6 threes. Do you remember that? He scored 25 points. So that's sort of like the moment for Parker Edwards. But, started his career as a walk-on, earned a scholarship. But so they'll honor Parker Williams and also Parker Edwards, and KJ Williams, who transferred in from Murray State. So just the 1 year at LSU. But he has been by far LSU's best player, leading the Tigers at 17 points per game and 7 rebounds per game. He's just been awesome. He's been, in a pretty disastrous season, the one good thing. And for KJ, he came here and got to play for Matt McMahon, but really it was an opportunity for him to come here, play against SEC-level competition, prove that he could still do it at this level, and he has certainly done that. And Matt McMahon talked a little bit about the opportunity to coach KJ Williams, not only at Murray State, but also at LSU.
Well, I think selfishly for me, it's been a lot of fun to get to coach him and watch his growth and development over the years. I had a really good freshman year. He's 1 for 5 from three-point range on the season, and now you see some of the games and the efficiency with which he shot from behind the three-point arc and just the continued growth and development of his game. He's a guy who's very unselfish. He's all about trying to impact winning. While I know he would have liked to have done more winning this season, I think he's really been able to create value for himself as he moves forward with his professional career starting this spring.
I think that's an undeniable truth. KJ's done something that not many have done. 2,000 career points, 1,000 career rebounds. According to the LSU release, he's the 8th player to play in the SEC and the 123rd player in all of college basketball to accomplish that feat. 2,000 career points, 1,000 career rebounds. So a pretty decorated career, was Ohio Valley Player of the Year. We know that, and had himself personally, individually, a fine season this year, one that just didn't come with an awful lot of winning. Now, the big question for Matt McMahon is how do you sort of turn that around? And Matt McMahon was asked a question about if this season, and this is, listen, I'm not going to sit here and break down LSU, Missouri. LSU's an underdog. Missouri has had a pretty nice first year under Coach Gates, his first season there in Columbia, Missouri. Missouri's a 4-point favorite tonight. Missouri should win this game. Missouri already beat LSU by 10 points up in Columbia earlier this year. It was 87-77. So, I don't expect LSU to win tonight. Would be great if they did on senior night. The focus is, look, you're going to play this game. You're going to wrap up your regular season this weekend at Florida. You're going to play in the SEC tournament, probably be one and done, and then you'll go into the offseason and figure out how to get this thing back on track. Matt McMahon was asked if having this season, which has just gone terribly, if this has made it difficult to recruit.
Yeah, fortunately, I hadn't had losing streaks like this before, and it has certainly been challenging. I think the goal is you learn a lot from it, and changes that need to be made as you go forward. I really, as far as the all-encompassing evaluation of the season and how we need to approach the portal and all those things, have not in a position to comment on all of that right now. The focus right now is just trying to find a way to go 1-0 and win another game. But after the season, certainly we'll evaluate and have very open discussions in here as to how we'll move forward.
Focus on the portal. You heard him say that. Not necessarily on a high school recruiting class. You heard him say focus on the portal. You're losing 2 seniors, and you've got 2 signees. Corey Chest and Mike Williams. Chest is a power forward from New Orleans. He's 4-star, top 100 player nationally. And Mike Williams is a 3-star shooting guard out of Baltimore. So it's not as though you went and tore it up recruiting the high school ranks. And that sort of answers the question. And it continues to be the problem that Matt McMahon will have for as long as the potential sanctions loom over this program. And you could say, well, that's not fair because there are other schools involved that also had sanctions and they haven't had these issues, and that's true. But Kansas and LSU are not the same in basketball. No one's going to mistake that. LSU is a tougher sell. It is. It just is. It's a tougher sell. LSU has had high moments here. The highs have been really high. Like the highs have been Pete Maravich and Shaq and Bob Pettit, like among the greatest players ever. But the lows have been like this. The last year, Johnny Jones, where you won 2 league games. The first year under John Brady, where you won 2 league games. I mean, there have been these awful ebbs and flows where you've never really been able to maintain consistently. You've seen the bottoming out of the program. And, winning begets winning, and it breeds a winning culture, and more people you get attention, and people want to come there and play there, and that's what Will Wade had been building. And all of that was completely ripped away when he was fired, and these sanctions are looming, and it's already a tough job that Matt McMahon was now forced to go try to compete with 2 hands tied behind his back. So I think he knows. Like, he's not going to be able to build through 5 stars at the high school level right now. He's going to have to be very mindful in the transfer portal to remake this roster. And I don't know where he'll start. I mean, you have 2 seniors on the team, and you got 2 signees. So in theory, everybody else could be back. But that's probably not what's best for this team. You're going to lose guys, and you're going to have to replace them with competent basketball players that are going to help you go win games in the SEC, because right now you don't have that. You have a roster with some guys who were sitting on the bench for Power 5 programs, and or guys who had lost their starting job. I mean, Derek Fountain was sitting on the bench at Mississippi State. Cam Hayes had lost his job at NC State. Trey Hannibal had bounced around a few spots. That, and then you went and got a guy like Kendall Coleman from Northwestern State. And I mean, that's not a recipe to win against the level of competition you're facing night in and night out in the SEC, as the SEC has elevated its lot in college basketball. So Matt McMahon, I think, was the way he answered that question in saying, look, I'm not going to talk about that now, is because if he's talking about it now, he's essentially would be acknowledging that there's going to be players processed out of this program, which is going to happen. And he said, we'll have a candid conversation about it when the time's right. But that time isn't right now with 2 games to play, and these guys are still trying to go out and play hard, maybe win a couple of games. Probably, 3 games to go, obviously, with at least one in the SEC tournament. So I know there's been a lot of people massively disappointed, especially with the way the season started. My feeling about this team from the beginning of the year was I would love to see them, get to a point where, maybe they could get to 8 or 9 conference wins and be an NIT team. That was my hope for this team, that they could find a way to kind of get into the NIT the way Will did in his first year here. And the way it started, it looked like that was going to be a realistic possibility. But boy, they just they cratered. And certainly coaching is to blame for some. Another part of it is just realizing you did not have a roster that was able to compete. So we'll see what Matt McMahon's able to do this offseason and trying to rebuild this roster into something that can compete. The good news is you have the transfer portal, and the transfer portal can help you remake a team instantly. And especially in basketball, we only got 13 scholarship players. So you go get a handful of really impactful transfers, you can compete. But you got to go convince those guys of whatever it is you're selling to come here and try to win. Senior night tonight at the Maravich Center. They'll wrap up a home schedule, which has just been no other way to say it, a massively disappointing season for LSU basketball, which over the last half-decade had generated so much momentum and just all feels gone right now. All right, it is after further review. The baseball team, on the other hand, got a great win last night winning at the University of Texas. We'll get to that here in just a moment to reset some of that. Let's hear what Jay Johnson had to say. Look ahead to the weekend, and also want to preview the Pels. We're back on the floor at Portland tonight. Again, not going to spend a ton of time there because until they start winning, it just doesn't warrant talking about. So we'll continue here. Glad you're with us. A little Pluckers trivia at the bottom of this hour. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime, and where right now the preseason AC tune-up is available. Mention the Moscona special. They'll knock $25 off at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Always love sharing great 5-star Google reviews. This one came in from a gentleman named Donald Collins about his technician, Joseph. He said, Joseph was amazing. Very professional, educated, and experienced in his profession. Recommended future repairs and why they were needed. Will use, again, another 5-star Google review. 10 out of 10 all the way around for River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001. If your Home Central AC isn't keeping up, if you have an issue, remember they'll always come out nights, holidays, weekends, and never charge you extra to do so. So, look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
All right, how many of you are locked in? Moose, we haven't done a poll question today. Are you watching the Pelicans tonight? Yes or no? It's a 9 o'clock Central tip, so this is a tough one, right? because they're playing Portland on the West Coast. So you have the time differential. You have a team that is just massively disappointed everybody over the last 2 months after getting everybody so hyped for this team. And, after the loss to the Magic the other night, I reacted like a lot of people did. I tried to not be emotional. I try to be more practical, and I think I was emotionally practical or practically emotional, however you want to phrase it, after the Magic game, because really, and I get that New Orleans is still in striking range. I mean, they're 10th right now, and there are winnable games on this schedule, and it's very plausible that they could get into the play-in. But I think we had all convinced ourselves through December that this was a team that was going to be able to contend in the West. Maybe not win the West, but win a series and maybe push and maybe win a couple of series in the West because of the way they were playing. I mean, they'd beaten Denver a couple of times, and they had the best record in the Western Conference, and there were a lot of reasons to think so, and it is fallen apart, which has been a reminder of how tough it is to win and how much an 82-game season can be a roller coaster and why health is important and continuing to pace yourself throughout a long season. But no matter what may happen between now and the end of the season, these final 20 games, I just don't believe this team is going to find it. We've been waiting for 2 months for them to find it again, whatever that it is that allowed them to win the play-in a year ago and push Phoenix the way they did, that swagger, that energy. It just hasn't been there. So have other teams adjusted to New Orleans? I don't, and I know that the Zion excuse is something people throw a lot at, but we talked about it yesterday. The fact of the matter is this team made that run last year without Zion. And yes, they're at their best when he's there, no doubt, but we've seen them win without him. And that game, losing that game against Orlando on Monday was just devastating, because if you're going to make that push, that's the type of game you got to win on your home floor against a team that was 11 games below 500, and you let a rookie in Paolo Banchero, who is going to win the Rookie of the Year, come in and hang 29 on you and make the plays late to win it. So Portland's a 2.5-point favorite tonight at home against the Pelicans. We'll see if they can find a way to get it together. No Jose tonight, no Larry Nance, of course, no Zion as well. So we'll see if the Pelicans can find a way to get one back after losing a disappointing one the other night at home against Orlando. If you want to bet on that game or any NBA game, of course you can with the DraftKings Sportsbook. You know what to do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. If you are a new customer, use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make a $5 money line bet on any NBA game. That's pregame money line. So that's not live in-game betting. A pregame money line bet on any NBA game. If you hit, they'll give you $200 in free bets. $150 in free bets. That's at the DraftKings Sportsbook. If you're new or existing customers, stepped up same-game parlays, opt-in required. You'll see the little tab where you just slide it to opt-in, and they'll know that you're triggering that bet. But use the promo code Baton Rouge. Make sure you use the promo code Baton Rouge, and they'll know we sent you, and that's how you unlock all those great specials. Is at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. Opt-in required. One free bet issued based on amount of initial losing NBA bet. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. I got to see what this is on my app. I got something, so I want to bet, and there's like a little gold cup. Have you ever seen this, Muse? Look at this. There's like a little gold cup and some stars at the top. You ever seen that?
I have not. I'm not sure what that is. Click it.
It's not letting. I'm tapping. I'm not. I don't know what that is.
Maybe it's just for decoration.
No, not. I mean, I bet damn near every night. Is it? Oh, are they just doing that for the ones that you won now? Oh, maybe that's a new graphic they're doing for when. Yeah, for when you, if a bet hits on your settled page, you go to My Bets and then settled. If you hit, it gives you like the cup and the little graphic with the celebration. That's what it is. Okay, that's a newish graphic for sure. It certainly wasn't there before I left for California. All right. It's after further review. You can bet on the Pels tonight or any of the NBA games or any game that you want. LSU baseball gets a win yesterday at Texas. We opened up the show today, gave you my thoughts overall on the game. If you missed it, go back to the start of the show on demand, however you get your podcast, search after further review, or, of course, the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Just scroll to the beginning of the show. You'll see my full comments on LSU beating Texas. A couple of other things that I wanted to hammer on that Jay Johnson spoke about after the game. One is Gavin Dugas, and we talked about Gavin getting the big hit. And, I tweeted during the game yesterday when Gavin made the diving play at second base. A ball went off of Thatcher Hurd's glove, and Dugas dove toward the bag, snared it, and got up and made the throw. And I tweeted, second base was one of those positions coming into the season that was an open battle. And we knew that Napolt, Dugas, Gavin Guidry, and even Jack Merrifield were going to be in the mix there. They were going to try to rotate and see who would ultimately win that job. Well, the veteran Gavin Dugas has put a stranglehold on it. Remember, he didn't start the opener at second base. But he has very quickly, with his bat and his glove, put a stranglehold on that job. He is the consummate guy that every LSU team that's ever won has had. The Louisiana guy that would give an arm to play for LSU, and it just seems to always come up in those big moments. And it's great to see not only that he's doing it offensively, but defensively as well there at second base. The other thing that we got to remember is Gavin had eye surgery, and it kept him out for a bulk of the offseason. And Jay Johnson, after the game last night, when he talked about Gavin's game-winning homer, and then he was asked about the hot start after having had the eye surgery. Here's what he said.
He's tough-minded, and the ability is never the question. I mean, I was well aware of what he had done in 21, and he did fine last year when he was able to play. He was just playing through pain and injury all the time. The fall was abnormal, and then I just literally said, hey, I want you to go get your eyes checked, and he did that. And then we found out a major issue that was a health concern, let alone be a functional baseball player. And then to go get it fixed, get back, have a setback, only have 2 weeks of at-bats, if that, leading into the season, and to get himself ready to play and play probably better than he ever has since he's been here is all credit to Gavin.
He's been awesome, man. It's great to see Dugas have the night that he did. He was 1 for 4 last night, but boy, it was a big one. It was a 3-run homer in the ninth. But again, he turned a double play, had the great play that I mentioned, diving at second base. Defensively continues to step up big for this team. So he's in no way a liability in the field with his glove. He's certainly been a strength. And of course, the pitchers last night have to be the story. When you win a game but you strike out 16 times, that's going to be a lot of concern. And I understand why, for every comment I've gotten from people over the last 15 hours or whatever it's been, 20 hours, has been, hey, man, great game. Strikeouts are a concern. The flip side of that is your pitching was awesome. Thatcher Hurd was great. Nate Ackenhausen was completely nails through 38 pitches, 39 pitches, 32 of them were for strikes, which is ungodly. I mean, he just filled up the strike zone, and Texas couldn't hit him. I mean, a lefty coming out of the pen and gives you 3 1/3 and is completely unhittable was awesome to see. And then Christian Little closing the game, getting the save in the ninth inning, coming out of the bullpen, pumping gas. It was exactly what I think, if you're envisioning how you would set up the end of a game, that's what it would look like. And it was great to see it manifest last night. Here was Jay Johnson on his pitching.
I think the story, obviously, tonight is from the pitcher's mound. I mean, Thatcher is poised in the first inning to get through that. Got some defensive help there, which was great. And in character for this team so far. Nate Ackenhausen was outstanding. And then Little looked like he'd done it 1,000 times before when he went out there in the ninth inning, and that was really impressive. So great job from the mound tonight.
I don't know what the plan is going to be this weekend. I'm sure when Jay meets with the media, he'll of course, he'll have to disclose his rotation at some point. But to see Thatcher Hurd go out and throw 70 pitches on a Tuesday, you go Tuesday to Monday. So let me rephrase that. He pitched on Tuesday. This weekend, you have a 4-game weekend. So a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If the plan is, or the hope is, to get Thatcher Hurd into the weekend rotation, you could do that this weekend. He could go, having thrown 70 pitches on Tuesday, and then pitch again on Monday. And then as you get one step closer to an SEC weekend, if the plan is to get Thatcher Hurd into the rotation, you could do it the following weekend. Like, you could set it up that way. And it almost feels like, and I don't know if Jay would ever disclose this, but it almost feels like this was predetermined, the way the schedule's set up. Start Thatcher Hurd off as your midweek guy so you can throw him at Texas. Like, put him in that environment, right? On the road in front of 8,000 people and see how he does. Well, he passed, certainly. And now you go into this week where you could throw him on Monday if you want to. And so it's one day closer without having to completely change up his week of preparation. So maybe that will be the approach, as LSU will play Butler on Friday, then back-to-back days, Saturday, Sunday against Central Connecticut State, then a Monday game against Butler. They will play Wednesday against Lamar, then the final pre-conference weekend series against Samford, the 10th, 11th, and 12th, and maybe that's the opportunity to throw Hurd into the weekend mix before you go to College Station, open up conference play. But that's your Hurd. I think it's safe to say passed last night with flying colors. I mean, you throw 4 2/3 of shutout baseball, come up with some big pitches, get out of some sticky situations on the road. That was great to see. So a lot to like about what we saw from the Tigers last night in Austin. All right, it's after further review. Wednesday brought to you by Pluckers. We'll do some Pluckers trivia when we come back. I'll get to some of your text, emails, tweets. We'll check the Citizens Bank and Trust poll question as well. You can always get in if you want to do so. I did get a text. We were talking about basketball earlier, and this one came in from John, who said, Matt, there were no bad Will Wade years. And I do understand the point. And we were talking about how, transitioning from a bad season, and Will's first year, they went to the NIT. The difference is that first class Will brought in, you had Tremont Waters in. You had players in that class. This team doesn't have players. Will Wade inherited a really bad situation from a team that just didn't win, that had bottomed out, but he wasn't handcuffed by his recruiting restrictions. And if anything, we know was pretty good at using all the assets that he had to go recruit. It's not an apples to apples comparison with what Will had his first year and what Matt McMahon inherited. It's very different. It's a more apt comparison to say, look at what John Brady did in 1997, when John Brady inherited a program that was in the midst of the Lester Earl stuff and had sanctions and won 2 conference games his first year, and then went to 5 in 1999, and then won the SEC his third year and went to a Sweet 16. So I know it's hard to be patient. Everybody wants instant gratification. You want to win now. I get it. But it's one of those things where you got to be patient with Matt McMahon. It's why look at the circumstantial evidence. It's why they gave that man an 8-year contract. They had to, because he knew what he was stepping into. Okay, it's after further review. We'll knock out a break. We'll do some Pluckers trivia next. Stay here.
AFR.
Of course, we're brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. Great night last night at Pluckers. I was talking to my guy, Stevie Levy, the king of the wing, earlier today. Both locations had a great turnout because Pluckers has the Longhorn Network. Pluckers has every channel. So if you're looking to watch any sporting event anywhere in the world, Pluckers has it in spectacular high definition. Accompanied by award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, a full-service bar. Tonight and every Wednesday is trivia. Tonight, Star Wars trivia. Nerd out, y'all. Star Wars trivia at both locations. 7:30 at Bluebonnet, 8 o'clock at Nicholson. 7:30 at Bluebonnet, 8 o'clock at Nicholson. 5 rounds. Test your Star Wars knowledge. Win Pluckers gift cards. And remember, every single team gets to spin the prize wheel. So even if you don't win a round, you still get to win something. Maybe it's Pluckers food. Maybe it's Amazon gift cards. It's at Pluckers. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Remember, at Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Ochsner,
We know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust.
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
All right, we'll get to Pluckers trivia. Hall of Fame coach Chris Ault, one of the 3 new members of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. The new members are, of course, 3-year terms, so they roll, and so they have rolling term expiration. So Chris Ault, who was the coach at Nevada, who's known for inventing the pistol. Of course, he had Colin Kaepernick there as his quarterback, among others. Tom Berman, who's the Wyoming athletic director, and Colorado athletic director Rich George. I'm sorry, their terms have expired. The new members are Ault, David Saylor from Miami of Ohio, and Jennifer Cohen from University of Washington. Those are your 3 new members, along with, what was the chairman's name? Honey Boo Boo?
Yeah, Honey Boo Boo. Boo Corrigan.
Yeah, Honey Boo Boo. He's the chairman. All right, let's do it, Muse. It's time for Pluckers Trivia. We do this every Wednesday. Wednesday is trivia night over at Pluckers, so we throw some trivia questions out to Muso to see how he does. Muse, I think you're going to nail them tonight.
Probably not.
Star Wars trivia. How much Star Wars have you watched?
Maybe like 1 movie. I'm not a big Star Wars guy, man. Yeah.
Why not?
I'm not a big sci-fi guy to begin with.
Well, neither
honestly.
am I, but Star Wars is just
yeah, but that really wasn't my generation that much.
Star Wars is everybody's generation.
I don't think it is. Maybe now that Disney's redoing it.
They've been making Star Wars movies for 40 years. More than 40 years.
I don't know. Nobody in my family even really so I don't know. We just didn't watch them.
I mean, Luke Skywalker was like a superhero to me as a kid.
Okay.
Like I didn't differentiate like as a young kid. It was like you had the lightsaber.
I know what a lightsaber is.
I've seen the original trilogy, right? The 4, 5, 6, and then when I was in high school, college is when 1, 2, 3 came out. So I saw those. I haven't seen anything since. All the new stuff and all the new series, I'm completely lost on that. But I've seen all the old Star Wars stuff. I like it. I'm not nerding out on it, but I like it. All right, well, Star Wars. So let's see how you do here.
Well, wait. Can I phone a friend? Because it's not going to go well.
Don't you want to hear the question first?
Okay, fine. Read one question.
Okay. Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, I'm going to need to phone a friend.
You know Lando?
No.
Oh, how do you not know Lando?
I've seen one movie.
You don't know Lando? Lando is friends with Han Solo, and that's where he's Chewbacca and all them, man.
Lando, what's his face?
Calrissian.
Calrissian.
Oh, phone your friend, Muse.
All right, well.
Who are you going to call?
I mean, we're going to call T-Bob. Of course, he's the
Of
biggest.
course you're going to call
Star Wars
freaking
guy I
T-Bob.
know.
Like, I don't have enough time with T-Bob in my life, right? I get whiskey and wine. I got to go do scone and tea here in an hour and a half, and you're going to put him on AFR right now.
The man's hosted Star Wars panels. He's the biggest Star Wars guy I know.
So you could have called Chuck P?
I
Chuck
could have.
P greater than T-Bob.
Ah, easy now. Both of them are great.
Chuck P knows more about Star Wars than T-Bob. Book it.
I mean, we can ask T-Bob. He's
All
right
right,
here.
ask him. All right. Call T-Bob.
Okay. Am I on air? Am I on
There
air?
he is.
Finally?
Hey, all right. What's going on?
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, dude.
Yeah.
You think you want to spend less time with me? This is the one time a day I have to myself. I'm jogging on a treadmill, and I got off it to help you with your stupid Star Wars bit. And the worst part is you're right.
I'm sorry.
You should have called Chuck.
I'm sorry.
You should have called Chuck.
Okay.
Chuck is a G. Chuck. Now, I'll
you.
say this about, hey, now, I'll say this about Chuck. Chuck is a true lore master of basically all things nerd. But I feel pretty good about my Star Wars. Let's see what we got. I'm excited.
Just so you know, I didn't call you. Muso called you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Moose is my boy. Dude.
You don't
I
have
gotta
to be
there for
mad
my
at
boy
me
on
like
Pluckers Trivia Night.
I called you to come on the bit. Muso called you. That's what this is.
Look. Well, how about we just get on with it so I can test my mettle? I'm excited.
Okay, here we go. Lando Calrissian. Hey, are you proud of me for knowing who Lando Calrissian is?
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
That's right.
Han's boy.
Lando Calrissian served as Baron Administrator of Cloud City, a gas mining colony situated high above the surface of which gas giant?
I have no idea, dude.
Oh, no!
I only know that the city is Cloud City. I have no idea what the planet they're mining is.
It would be called, actually, call Chuck. I want to know if Chuck knows it.
Okay,
all right, let's ask T-Bob the other ones. Then we'll call Chuck to see if Chuck knows it, okay?
Okay.
All right, there's two more, T. Here you go.
Yeah, give me.
All right, this is fill in the blank from episode 9. Do you know what episode 9 is?
Unfortunately, in my opinion, it is the worst of all these Star Wars. But yes, I do. It's Rise of Skywalker.
That is correct. Okay, so here we go. Here's the question. The Resistance celebrate their victory. Ray, or is it Ray or Rye?
Ray.
Okay,
It's Ray.
Ray visits Luke's abandoned homestead on blank and buries Luke and Leia's lightsabers.
Tatooine.
It is Tatooine. All right.
Yeah,
There we go.
I mean, but okay, to be completely fair, you could almost ask any Star Wars, what is this planet? And it's almost always going to be Tatooine.
Yeah, no, that's actually true because I would have guessed that too. But you know what else is funny? Weird Al did the American Pie parody of whenever.
I actually watched that. I rewatched that literally less than 7 days ago.
You know the song, like the
yeah.
and he talks about like the I can say it's drive time. He talks about like the prepubescent queen on Tatooine. Whatever.
Yeah, no,
it's so good. Why is Weird Al so good?
He was awesome.
It's pretty awesome. He actually wrote it before Phantom Menace even came out.
Okay.
Like he had gotten some script leaks. He had some little nuggets, and then he got to go to an early screening.
Awesome.
And he immediately wrote and produced that thing, and it's legendary.
So cool. All right, last one here, and then we'll call a real expert and get Chuck P to answer the first one. All right, here you go, T. The Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour. Are you familiar?
This is a Chuck P question.
Oh.
No, this sounds like an old animated show from the 80s.
All right, well, you may know this. The Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour aired on what television network in the 1980s?
I can actually see the animation in my head. I watched an episode not too long ago to see what it's all about. It's not very good. I mean, it's kind of cool. I love 80s animation, but I'm going to say CBS.
Ah, wow. You know what?
What was it?
Well, I want to get Chuck P in here.
Okay, good call.
Can we call? Do you have Chuck's number?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can do this real quick, Muse, if you would. T-Bob, why don't you tell people what's called, please? Wait, I can't. You have to put T on hold. Okay.
Right, yeah.
All right, T, if you got to go, that's fine. Or if you want to hang on to see if Chuck knows it, hang on.
No, I want to see if Chuck knows.
All right,
hold on.
Muse, all right, put T on hold. Call Chuck P. This gives me time to remind folks about Michelle weighing and measurement. I'm sure this is exactly what Joel McMullen wants. Right in the middle of nerd Star Wars culture, I'm going to do the Michelle read. Michelle weighing and measurement online at Michelle.com. 76 years in business. I love telling you about Michelle weighing and measurement. And one of the other things that we talk all the time making you more efficient as a business. Face-to-face sales. They do all of that stuff. Building that relationship is such a huge part of what Michele does, servicing all scale and measurement equipment makes and models. But they're hiring as well, and they take care of our veterans, those who protect and serve us. Michele Weighing and Measurement. Go to Michele.com, hit the careers tab. You'll see the veterans' careers right there. Start your next chapter after your military service with our friends at Michele Weighing and Measurement. They're a DoD Skill Bridge industry partner. You can learn more about the program online at Michele.com. Michele.com. Okay, we have Chuck.
Chuck didn't answer, then T-Bob's phone dropped. I got sent to voicemail twice by Chuck P. It's kind of harsh, not gonna lie.
T-Bob just texted and said, "My bad, boys, I had to drop."
Yeah.
What does he have? What did he have to?
Well, he was exercising. He's running on a treadmill. Dude, when I called him, he was very out of breath. I didn't know what he was doing.
Your phone. By the way, I would just like to say, and I'm very good at saying I told you so. I told you you should have called Chuck P. Like,
you told me that after we had T-Bob on the line. And look, T-Bob's my guy. I thought he'd nail it, man. I did.
T-Bob went 1 for 3 on Star Wars trivia.
Yeah, I would have gone 0 for 3. So, I mean, at least I'm at my average.
The last one about the network, you had a 1 out of 3 shot.
Yeah.
Just 3 networks. In the 8, you had 3 networks. You had 33.3% shot. You want to guess? Now you got a coin flip.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna go with Fox. You said it was coin flip. Guess it wasn't heads.
Muse.
What?
What are the 3 over-the-air television networks?
NBC, CBS, and I don't know. What's the other one? Isn't it
the answer! The mouse!
The what?
ABC!
Oh, yeah, the mouse. Yeah. Makes sense, too, right? Because, I mean, Disney's, like, rejuvenating Star Wars and all that stuff.
Oh, my God.
I'm not good at Star Wars things, Matt.
Fox wasn't even an option!
It wasn't multiple choice.
Fox came into existence, like, in 1993!
Hey, look. So did I. Great things happened in 93. What can I say?
1986, Fox founded.
93 was a better year.
All right, it's after further review. I'm so disappointed. I wanted Chuck P to answer the phone. I'm going to text Chuck P in the break. We got Otterlocks coming up, but I may bump Otterlocks for Chuck P if I can get him. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by The Renaissance and The Watermark. The Watermark, Baton Rouge's finest hotel downtown. The Renaissance, Baton Rouge's finest hotel in Southtown, right on Bluebonnet, and both feature amazing dining experiences. Tallulah, we've told you about inside of the Renaissance, and the Gregory inside of the Watermark in downtown Baton Rouge. If you feel like you've gone to all of the fine dining restaurants in Baton Rouge and you have not yet tried the Gregory inside of the Watermark, y'all, you got to go experience it. It's like stepping into a time capsule in Baton Rouge. You know, the old Louisiana National Bank building, which they've converted into the Watermark Hotel, they've preserved so much of the rich culture and history of that building and modernized it. It is phenomenal. Make dinner reservations at the Watermark. They've also got Sunday brunch. So if you go to all the normal Sunday brunch places that are always packed and like you've got to wait 2 hours, try the Watermark this Sunday for Sunday brunch. It's the Watermark Hotel, the Gregory at the Watermark.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville or NOLAFlooring.com.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Moon Griffon is back. The
After further review with Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Presented by Pluckers Wing Bar. Open till midnight or later every night of the week, where every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings. Pluckers Wing Bar. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Hump Day edition of AFR, presented by Pluckers. One thing left to do. Oh, we got. All right, hold on. We got 2 things to do. I got like 4.5 minutes to do this. We're going quick. All right, Otter, hang on. Chuck P on the phone. All right, Chuck, I literally have like less than a minute to do this. I can't provide you any context. I have 2 Star Wars questions. T-Bob couldn't answer them. I'm going to see if you can. You ready?
Okay, let's go.
Lando Calrissian served as Baron Administrator of Cloud City, a gas mining colony situated high above the surface of which gas giant?
Bespin.
Right? All right. The other one. The Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour aired on what television network in the 1980s?
ABC.
He's the GOAT! I told you he was the GOAT! You should have called Chuck P. Thank you, Chuck. I gotta go. Have a great night.
Yes, sir.
The one and
You
only
too.
Chuck P from Eagle 98.1. All right, let's find out what we're betting on tonight.
Otterlocks,
Didn't even
presented
bat
by
an eye.
Lofton Staffing Services.
Didn't bat an
At
eye,
Lofton, we
Muse.
put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
That was impressive. I can't lie. That was
even
good.
bat an eye.
It was good.
Otter, what's up?
Boy, you know we're in a slump, huh?
That's why I put you off to get Chuck on. 1-4 last
Hey,
night.
hey,
But you know
look,
what that
look.
means, Otter? You know what that means? We're one
What's
step
that?
closer to the wins. Everybody goes through it, but you got to go through it to get to it. So let's get to it.
Indiana Nova. Or how about the Jets? I mean, the San Antonio Spurs played on the road for like the first time in in the century. All right, so what it is, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We have to damage control our little low spots here. So when I think of damage control, boy, nobody handles the damage control like NATO's. Okay, Alabama. Well, Alabama minus 9.5. We'll go to.
Oh my God! Oh wow! Oh my God!
Sorry. They need to put a muzzle on him. NATO, get the F out of here. Get the F out of here, NATO.
That was a slow burn. Okay.
Bama minus 9.5. Auburn's on the slide. Bama, since all of these distractions started, had 3 really bad halves and 1 really good one. They might be out of it. They'll be keyed up tonight. Bama minus 9.5. What's the SEC Network at 6 o'clock? Vandy in Kentucky. Kentucky's hot. Won and covered 4 in a row. But 10.5 against Vanderbilt is too much. We got to take the 10.5 in Vandy. Guess who the top team in the country this year against the spread is?
Houston.
Pitt. Pitt of all teams. Guess who's one of the bottom 5? It's Notre Dame. But if you look closer, in Mike Bray's last season, they have lost 4 in a row, but they have covered all of them. They're catching 4 at home tonight against Pitt.
1
Notre
minute
Dame
remaining.
plus 3.5. Northwestern minus 3.5 at 8 o'clock. And then this one goes at 6. This is the sharpest play on the board tonight. Ohio State is going from a 2-point underdog to a 1.5-point favorite some places. I found it at pick. If you shop around, I'm going with Ohio State. Bama, Vandy, the Irish, Northwestern, and Ohio State. Ewok, Mark Hamill, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Money line parlay, T-Bob.
That's so good. Where are you tonight, Otter?
Modesto, man, we're out on the patio.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we got 3 games on the patio. We got action, so come on by and see us here, Modesto on Burbank. May the force be with us.
Get out of here.
Bob.
Game time is next. Muse Pauly, thanks. See ya.
AFR.
As we get on down, that was way too much fun. We're brought to you by Mold Zero USA. Mold-Zero USA. What just happened at the end of the show? That was the stupidest thing that ever happened.
It made up for the 5:30 segment.
And I loved it so much. Okay. It's after. No, I'm including the 5:30 segment and what happened. Mold Zero USA. If you have mold, why? Call Mold Zero USA. Jim Woodworth in the game, they'll come out. They'll always give you a free estimate. They'll explain the process. It's simple. Like, you don't have to move furniture out. We're not cutting sheetrock. They'll come in. They'll spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. They'll let it dwell. Basically, close all the doors, all the windows, let it dwell. Let it get into every nook and cranny. Kill all the mold, pathogens, odor, everything. As soon as the mold dissipates, you can go back in your house free and clear. Not harmful to pets, plants, family, anything. Mold-Zero-USA.com. Kill mold, remove odors, mold-zero-usa.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.